What's going on, folks? How's everybody doing today? Welcome in, welcome in. Oh, we're just getting this thing started. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little tired today, y'all. I did not sleep great last night. I went to sleep all nice and early. I was like, I'm gonna get some really good sleep tonight. I'm gonna get to sleep nice and early. I'm gonna get some good sleep for tomorrow. And I laid in bed and I couldn't get comfy. And then just like things just started happening. And I would hear noises. And like the noise would wake me up. And then at some point there was like a thunderstorm. And the thunderstorm was like hitting. And like, so the thunder woke me up. You know what I'm saying? And then like, I think my dog woke me up at some point. I just could not get into a deep sleep last night. So I'm tired. I'll tell you. So, anyways, I figured because I'm nice and tired, I would get on a little early. You guys know normally I'm not on for the like 2-3 hours. But I figured I would go on early today, give myself a chance to kind of relax tonight. Hopefully get some good sleep. Your feet has been choppy for 3 days. Well, Chris, I'm sorry. No one else has said that. So I don't know what to tell you, man. Hair on point today. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's looking good. So yeah, anyways. So if I'm a little like slow today, I'm just kind of tired today. It's all good. Like I'm surviving. I'm making it. So mom's doing a little better for anybody who's been tracking that too. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, as we get this thing started, if you guys are on the TikTok side, can you guys do me a favor and double tap that screen? Let's get this thing up to that first 10,000 likes. I can't even start this thing going with conversations and debates till we get to at least 5,000. So if you guys could tap that screen and get this thing started, I'd really, really appreciate you. If you guys on the YouTube side, if you guys can just come in, hit that top button and hit that like button, I really appreciate that. Pretty soon we will open up phone lines. We will open up multi-guests. We will open up all the fun things so we can have some conversations about why you support Trump. And that will be very fun. Keely said, this has become my favorite political live. I appreciate that, Keely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. There's so many political, lives you could be on, and you guys decided to join me. And I think that's pretty amazing. Okay. If you want to know whether it's good or not, you can ask the man, the legend, who just said, it's okay. It's so okay that he's here every day.
It's insane.
Just every single day, he's here to enjoy it. I thought you Republicans were supposed to be like, at work. Isn't what you guys tell me? Like every single day that I'm on here, you guys are like, you should be at work. But yet you're here every day. Shouldn't you be at work? I don't understand. I don't understand. Just me, thank you so much for the super chat over here. I really appreciate that. He says, I hope you had a great day. I really appreciate that. I did not have a great day. Not a bad day. Just sometimes days aren't good or bad. Sometimes days are just days. And that's okay. Right? Sometimes we have good days, sometimes we have bad days, and then some days we just have days. Today was just a day. The man, the legend, I love having you here. You don't hurt my feelings, okay? Don't be over there trying to dish it out, then getting your feelings hurt when I freaking come back to you. Okay? Let's not get on our feels today. All right. Oh, goodness gracious. Guys, I'm gonna go as long as I can. I'll go for 3-4 hours. I don't care. We're just gonna keep partying today. As long as I freaking keep my eyes open, as long as the conversations are interesting, as long as the sport's coming, I really appreciate that. And we'll just keep this thing moving forward. I've already seen a few phone calls coming in. We are about to open up these phone lines and get this thing moving. So let's open up the phone lines, see if any of the people that already called back. And we can get this thing started. Do I agree with the riots in LA? Riots is an interesting word. You mean the people who were like peacefully protesting before Donald Trump started? Those people? Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
I'm well, and yourself?
Awesome. I'm doing okay.
It's good.
How old are you? Sir?
I'm 39.
You say 39?
I am, yeah.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
I do.
Awesome. Why is that?
Oh, there's a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons is with the tariffs. He's going to help, balance out the U.S. wage with, say, the China wage. I don't know if you know this, but China pays its citizens like next to nothing to live, and I think that's unfair. I think it's unfair that corporations are allowed to take advantage of low-wage countries, and I think he's going to put an end to that with tariffs.
I'm sorry. So do you have a problem with China's median household income being smaller than ours? Is that your issue?
Well, my problem with China is they use slave labor.
Well, there is a small percentage that is being used as slave labor, yes, but we exactly don't know whether those products are coming to the. Hold on, I'm still talking.
Okay.
We don't exactly know how many of those products are actually products that are coming to the United States. And, we do know in the Xinjiang region of China that there are problems with that, but we do know that over 95% of the products are not coming out of that region that are coming from China. So,
okay, so let me ask you a question: should companies who are headquarters in the U.S. and enjoy the protection of the U.S. Be allowed to do business in countries where they allow slave labor?
Oh, they allow slave labor in this country. So if they're based in here, they're already doing business in a country that allows slave labor.
No, that. Could you just answer the question?
Sir, I just did. You already answered the question.
Slave labor.
Yes, we do, sir.
We don't allow slave labor in the U.S.
Yes,
no,
we do, sir. Yes, we do.
So you're saying that the way we treat, say, prisoners here, which I assume is what you mean, is the same way they treat Uyghurs in China?
I'm not saying it's the same way. You did not differentiate the types of slave labor.
So you think
you just said slave labor?
Slave labor.
Hmm?
So you think there's more than one type of slave labor?
Of course there is.
So tell me how the slave labor in the U.S. is the same as the slave labor in China.
I didn't say it was.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. You just asked me, is there more types of...
the U.S. to China. You said...
No, I didn't, sir.
The U.S.
No, I didn't, sir. What I said was, you said, maybe we'll backtrack on this so you can catch up to your own conversation, okay? You said...
So back to
you said,
question.
do countries, do companies... Sir, be quiet now. We're going to catch you up on your own conversation, okay? You said, do companies that are based in the United States, should they be allowed to do business with countries that allow slave labor? Yeah. This country allows slave labor. That's all I said. Okay. I didn't compare it to China. You're comparing it to China. Okay. I'm saying that the United States allows slave labor.
Oh, so you're just doing whataboutism. Okay.
That's not a whataboutism. That is just a
What
statement.
about the United
Does the United
States
States allow slave labor?
No.
You want sure? You sure about that?
If you commit, well, we have an amendment that abolished slavery, right? Well, besides, if you commit a crime, should rapists be forced to make
Don't use the R word
for a low wage?
Don't use the R word. And again, I'm not differentiating, sir. So
back to my question. Should companies that enjoy the protectionism of the U.S.
And I'm going to answer the exact same way, sir. We're going to move on with this conversation because I've already answered this question twice.
Well, this has to do with tariffs.
Yes, sir. So you are saying, sir, so you are admitting that the United States allows slave labor, correct?
Well, I mean, it was abolished, so no.
No, it wasn't abolished. What amendment of the Constitution abolished slavery?
What? Well, what's your definition of slavery?
Sir, what amendment of the Constitution abolished slavery?
Well, hold on. Maybe we're just arguing semantics. What's your definition of slavery?
No, we're not. What amendment of the Constitution?
What's your definition of a slave?
No, we're not. There's multiple definitions of slavery. There's multiple definitions of slavery.
I would say somebody that makes $3 an hour is a slave, don't you?
Well, that's more than what we pay our prisoners, so.
Well, yeah, but that's less. That's what China's minimum wage is. So.
Yeah, do you know why China and what's ours?
China's minimum wage is a slave labor.
Yeah, so sir, what's China's median household income?
I don't know. It's probably 50,000 yuan plus one slave.
No, it's about
So
20,000,
what you're
sir.
doing is you're defending slave
No, sir.
labor right now.
What's the minimum what's the minimum wage
You're
here?
defending slave labor.
What's the minimum
You're
wage here,
defending
sir?
slave labor and
What's the
taking
minimum wage
advantage
here,
of
sir?
low wage.
What's the minimum
countries.
wage here?
Federally or state?
Federally.
I believe federally it's $7.50 an hour,
Okay.
which is not a livable wage. Don't
Correct.
you agree?
I completely agree. And what's the median household income in this country?
So you're right. So we pay
Sir,
slave
sir,
labor
sir,
here,
sir,
but the
stop,
difference is
stop,
Uyghurs, they are
stop,
actual slaves. They're
Stop
chattel slaves.
talking.
You know what that is?
Sir, please stop talking. Okay?
Okay.
I'm asking you questions so that we can move
is.
forward with the conversation, and you keep trying to backtrack the conversation. I would like to move forward.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get you to
No,
acknowledge
I know.
that
You're trying to get me
slave
to.
labor.
You're trying to trap me. It's not going to work. Okay, so
I
let's
already
just move
trapped
forward with
you.
the conversation.
I already trapped you. You already defended slave labor, bro.
Sir, woohoo, hello.
You already defended
Sure,
slave
sir.
labor.
Whatever you feel like you,
you.
sir. If that's the case, then you should have no problem answering my questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So, what's the median household income? You said that the federal minimum wage is $7 and something, right? I believe it's $7.75.
I think it's $7.50 or $7.75.
Sure, sounds good. And what's the median
Yeah.
household income here?
In America?
Mhm.
I would have to say around $50,000.
It's $67,000. Okay.
Okay.
So, what's the median household income in China?
Where they live in grass huts still? I would say probably like US dollar, I would have to say like $5,000 a year.
It's about it's just about $25,000. Okay. So, you are saying that paying someone $3 an hour in a country where the median household income is $25,000 an hour is slave labor. But in this country, when the median household income is $67,000 and we only have and the minimum wage is $7, that is not slave labor. Correct?
Well, $67,000 in some states is like living like a king. If you make $67,000 in my state, you're living
and
really
that's the
well.
same way in China. So we're talking about the whole plate,
Right,
the whole thing, right?
Except for the slaves. Except we don't have slaves here, right?
Sir, we do have slaves here. Again, I asked you
But we pay them money.
Sir,
But we pay them money.
What
Even
amendment
people in prison
of the
make
Constitution, sir, abolished slavery?
I don't know, like the 13th Amendment.
13th Amendment. And what does the 13th Amendment say?
I don't know. What's it say?
You're the one up here talking about slavery, and you don't know what the 13th Amendment says?
Well, the 13th Amendment doesn't define slavery, does it?
I didn't say if it defines slavery. I said, what does it say?
Yeah, you just said I'm the one who's bringing up slavery and blah, 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 13th Amendment. I'm not saying it defines it. I'm asking you to define slavery, and you seem to be dodging the question.
No, sir, I'm just moving forward with the conversation. So again, what does it say?
You're defending.
Sir, if you think that you're going to just keep...
In order to hate Trump,
sir.
you have to defend slavery
No, I don't,
now,
sir.
which is pretty
sir,
bad.
we could have... Sir, you don't... Sir,
Go ahead.
be quiet. You don't even know what I'm trying to say. Because
you're defending
sir,
slavery.
be quiet.
Can you just say slavery?
Sir,
bad?
if you won't let me speak,
can you say slavery?
Slavery
bad
is
just
bad.
once
Now,
for me?
can you be quiet?
Okay, man, you feel better now?
No,
You don't feel better after saying
not
that?
at all.
Now next, let me get you to say no. America should not do business with countries that have slaves.
I agree. We should not do
We
We should not do business with countries that have slaves.
All right, there we go. We found common ground.
Okay, now can I actually move on with the conversation?
Yeah. So
okay.
So
No, sir.
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 What?
Now it's my turn. You wanted me to admit those things, so now it's my turn.
Sure.
What does the 13th Amendment say?
I mean, what do you want it to? You want me to read it verbatim, real quick? I'll get it verbatim.
I mean, I can pull it up and read it verbatim. I just want to know if you know.
I mean, I don't know it verbatim. No.
Okay, no problem.
If you know
neither
it verbatim,
slavery nor involuntary. Sir, I'm reading it for you.
You don't know it verbatim either.
I do, but I was going to read it for you for the crowd, if that's okay.
You don't, but it's okay. Never mind. I know it verbatim too. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime. So servitude is not slavery, right?
Involuntary servitude?
It says neither slavery, so neither meaning one or the other, slavery or involuntary servitude. So prisoners are not slaves.
Does it define, sir, does it define which one prisoners are?
The law defines.
Let me go ahead and read it since you didn't want to read the entire thing, sir. No problem. I'll go ahead and read sir, I'll go ahead and read the whole thing for you. Make it a little easier, okay? Since you could only make about 8 words in, okay?
Go ahead.
Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall be duly convicted, shall exist within the United States. So,
boom.
Yeah, you're right. Boom, sir. Boom. So the 13th Amendment,
right. Boom,
sir.
Boom. 9 minutes, 49 seconds. Boom. I'm right.
Cool, sir. So therefore, the 13th Amendment says that slavery is legal in the United States. Sir, if you cut me off one more time, I will hang up this phone. Cool. Act like you had some house training, okay? So therefore, the 13th Amendment does allow for slavery in the United States, according to the 13th Amendment. So therefore, if you're saying the U.S. should not do business with countries that allow slavery, then therefore the U.S. also should not be allowed to do business with the United States because the U.S. allows slavery under certain conditions. Okay? Can you understand that now?
Respond now?
Okay,
Can I
cool.
respond now?
No, I'm not finished because you've said so many things. Now I have to catch up. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So while I very, very much condemn, just like the rest of the world, just like the U.S.'s official stance on slavery within China is absolutely that it is 100% horrible. Again, okay, we do not show any type of massive data that says we're getting anything from slaves in those regions. We also do business with probably another 100 different countries, including our own, that allows some form of slavery as far as the definition of slavery is concerned. Okay? But regardless of all of that, the tariffs in no way stop us from doing business with China. They were never intended to stop us from doing business with China, because if Donald Trump's plan was to stop us from doing business with China, he would put 145% tariff on it and then he wouldn't move it. Okay? Because lowering it says, I am okay with doing business with China even though they allow slave labor, only if the slave labor is at as long as we have an open trade deal with that country. So if Donald Trump didn't want to do business with China because they have slave labor, then why is he now trying to make a deal with them so we can continue to get things off of their labor?
Are you asking me to respond? You told me if I say anything, you're going to hang up on me.
Well, sir, you could either respond or you could cry about it. I'm glad you chose the latter.
Well, no, I waited till you.
Sir, either respond or I'll just move over to somebody who knows how to be an adult.
I got to say it's the lowest IQ response I've ever heard.
Sir, that wasn't a response. That was a question. I'm waiting for your response.
So do I think that America should stop doing?
No, that is not what I asked you, sir. Please keep up with the question. If Donald Trump is trying to stop us, sir,
your premise is,
sir, my premise is very, 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 very simple. Sir, no, you are going to answer my question.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, I just won't
if Donald Trump was trying to stop, sir, if Donald Trump was trying to stop, sir, if you have to say you're wrong, then you already lost. Okay.
No, I didn't say I was wrong. I said you're wrong. Yeah, that's why you just tell me to shut up. I didn't say that, sir.
I didn't say that, sir. No, sir, because I want to have a.
You to admit I was right like twice.
All right, sir. Again, I threatened to hang up with you because I'm trying to have a conversation here, and you don't have the ability to do so. Okay, it's pretty simple. If Donald Trump was trying to stop us from doing business with a country that because of the slave labor, then why did Donald Trump let us continue to do business with China? I was there and waiting for a response, but you see how he didn't answer that question? That's okay, though. I forgive him. We can't all be very bright. Hello.
Here's the reason why, right?
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, how are you today?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing excellent. Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 21 years old.
Awesome. So why do you support Trump?
I just really like what he's doing, and I didn't really like the other candidates.
Okay. What do you like that he's doing?
Well, for starters, I like J.D. Vance because he actually doesn't flaunt that. He was in a war zone, even though he was. They got Tim Walz, who is stolen valor, and
so you voted for Trump because of the vice president that has no power?
Yeah. Why would I want a vice president who has stolen valor?
He doesn't have stolen valor.
He claims he was in a war zone and was not in a war zone.
I'm sorry. When did he claim he was in a war zone?
Tim Walz has claimed he was in a war zone when he was in the army, when he was not in a war zone.
Oh, okay.
Did no active duty in any
Well, I'm sorry.
time.
I wouldn't vote for Trump or Harris because of Walls and Vance. It's kind of weird.
Well,
Plus, at least
you know,
I
if you
know
don't
Tim
like one
Walz served,
candidate and
and
you like the other.
Tim Walz at least served, just like
Yeah,
JD
but
Vance.
he lied about his service. He lied about his service.
Well, I guess Donald
JD
Trump didn't
Vance
get a
didn't.
chance to lie about his service, but that's what happens when you're a draft dodger, huh?
Well, Donald Trump was a businessman and did a lot more.
He was a draft dodger.
Cool.
Yeah.
Your point?
Oh, I'm just saying, I'd rather have somebody that served for over 20 years than have a draft dodger.
What has Kamala done? She serves people on social media with like lies.
Okay, we weren't comparing Kamala Harris's service. She did not serve, nor was she a draft dodger.
No, I don't care. I'm on a different point now, but more so.
Is that how long your attention span is?
No. Yeah, see, that's the funny thing is whenever I go to another point, you guys like to just whoop-de-whoop wham.
Well, sir, I
Totally
have the attention span long enough to stay on one point longer than 10 seconds. So I would appreciate if you did the same.
The point was already proven. Tim Walz, he has stolen valor. JD Vance has served time in an active war zone.
And Donald Trump is a draft dodger, and Kamala Harris hasn't served at all.
Relevant.
I asked you why you support Trump. I didn't ask you about Tim Walz.
Well, I'm just letting you know why I don't support the other side. So don't you think that's valid?
No, I don't think it's sides at all. I asked you why you support Trump. I didn't even ask you anything about Kamala Harris. Forget freaking Tim Walz.
I like what he's doing with Russia and Ukraine. He just let him fight it out. We're not fucking sending millions of dollars, billions of dollars to him.
He literally just had a mineral deal with them to support them and send more billions of dollars.
Okay, yeah, look that up because that didn't go through.
The mineral deal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he didn't agree to keep funding Ukraine.
No,
because I can look that up and show that to you.
Okay, yeah, I don't care. Go ahead. I'm not even looking at the stream. I just want to see what's going on inside your brain. Why did you want Kamala to win?
I don't really care if Kamala won. I'm talking about why you support Trump.
I support Trump because he's a way better candidate than what was at hand.
How?
I mean, it's pretty obvious. Kamala is a crybaby. If Kamala tried to talk to some Afghanistan leader, do you know that women don't have rights over there? Like, the foreign policy would have been terrible if Kamala Harris was in office.
Well, first of all, there's tons of countries around the world already that have women leaders, and they have no problem, with foreign policy.
Like Iceland? What does Iceland have to deal with? They're
Germany,
they're a
Mexico.
Non-militarized state.
There's tons of them.
Non-militarized state, though.
Germany's a non-militarized state.
Cool. And your point?
I said Germany's a non-militarized state.
Is it a woman president?
Second of all,
Germany?
should we decide what our president is based off whether Afghanistan likes women or not?
It's just a valid point that a woman really can't be in power right now in this point in time.
Why not?
Just can't, because she doesn't have the mental cognition for it.
Why doesn't she? Why would you say she doesn't have the mental cognition for it?
Because she can't stand in an interview for 2 minutes without acting like she's getting. Like, she can't answer a question thoroughly. It's like always has to be jumping around. Just
and
like
Donald
Tim
Trump
Walz.
can?
Trump. Yeah, Donald Trump. Yeah, what did Kamala Harris do the last 4 years?
I asked you, what is Donald Trump answering thoroughly?
Every single day he's going in front of a fucking camera and telling shit like it is. What did Joe Biden do?
Yeah, sir, that doesn't answer the question.
That answered it thoroughly.
No, you just said sir, I can. So actually, you did a very good example of what I'm actually asking. You see how I asked you a specific thing, like, hey, how does Donald Trump describe anything thoroughly? And you, instead of answering that question thoroughly, I said
he goes in front of a fucking camera every day, bud. What does Kamala do?
Exactly, sir. Thank you so much. So what I was just saying, thank you for repeating it so everybody could hear it. When I asked you to answer the question thoroughly and actually answer what Donald Trump has described thoroughly, you said in a completely non-thorough manner, okay, he gets in front of a microphone and says so. You can get in front of a microphone and say,
how more thorough does it need to be? It says it right there. How much time?
Sir, you can get in front of a microphone and say things not. You can literally get up on a microphone and just talk. Nothing has to be thorough when you do it.
Okay, well, he was thorough, and he does statements pretty much damn near every day. Kamala's probably done it. I could probably count it on my hands in 4 fucking years. That's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, Kamala Harris
I like transparency with the office.
Kamala Harris.
People are sock puppets like Joe Biden.
Kamala Harris wasn't the president.
she was trying to be. Was she not? She was running for that. She was a presidential candidate.
But you said over
because Joe
4
Biden dropped out
years
'cause he's
she
an old
was
fuck.
not. She was not running for president for 4 years. You said over 4 years she wasn't in front of the
she was in
camera.
office for 4 years, whatever the fuck you want to call it, dude.
I'm sorry, JD Vance isn't on the camera every day. Why don't you have an issue with that?
Well, he actually is a lot more than Kamala ever was. So
Yeah, I don't really. Again, I don't know what your obsession is with the vice president. Can you please explain to me what the Constitution says the role of the vice president is?
the role is that you're a fucking zesty fat fuck.
Okay, so can you please explain to me what the role of the vice president is according to the Constitution?
Can you explain to me what freedom of speech is?
Yes, I could. So how about you answer mine and I'll answer yours?
Or how about this? Trump is president in Crimea River.
I'm sure you're the only one that's crashing out right now. I'm speaking to you very calmly. So again, for the third time.
No,
Again,
really.
sir, for the third time, can you please tell me what the role of the vice president is per the Constitution?
For the third time, yeah, it's that Tim Walz, isn't it, right now? So it's pretty awesome. Crimea River.
All right, sir. Do you have anything of actual intelligence to say?
Crimea River. MAGA.
I'm going to go ahead and take that as a no. All right, sir. That's okay. I forgive you. We all can't be very bright. Anyways, we'll just move on to a caller that actually can answer a question. That's pretty crazy. But hey, crashing out is fine too. All right, y'all. We're going to move on to the next caller. I really appreciate that. Again, if you guys would like to support the live, or if you guys would like to join the live, I do have this phone number right above my head. If you voted for Trump, you can call that. Also, we're going to continue on. If you guys would like to support, I do have super chats open and all that fun stuff. And I will take super chats and put them up on the screen. And we'll have a lot of fun with them, talk about them, whether I like them or don't like them. It'll look something like this. It'll be pretty cool. Where this person just said, mashed potato brains. I don't know. I don't even know who they're referring to, but I thought that was kind of funny. So we'll just keep this thing going. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Also, if you're on the YouTube side, if you guys go up and hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, we do this every single day, so I really appreciate that. Also, if you're on the TikTok side, make sure you hit that follow button. And let's get this thing up to about 50,000 likes. I really appreciate that. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
I am 23 years old.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
I do. But I wouldn't say I'm like all the way, diehard MAGA. He can do no wrong, but generally I do support him, and he did earn my vote.
Okay, what has he done to do that?
Well, I live in New York City, and as you know, ever since Joe Biden became president around 2022, we've seen a big influx of migrants come to. Well, I'm just speaking for me personally. I grew up with many Mexican American friends. Most of my friends are Hispanic and Black. Me personally, I'm Indian myself, but I grew up in that kind of community. So there's nothing against Mexican people or nothing against Hispanic people in general. But this large influx of migrants coming to the inner cities, especially when you see, Venezuelan gang members and like that come into the community, it disrupts communities, and it changes how people view immigration as a whole. So
So how did they get there?
Well, as far as I'm aware, New York City is a sanctuary city. So they're not coming over the border, because if you really need asylum, you have to come to a point of entry, and then you have to come up to your court. Because you come back to. Well, you're supposed to. That's the thing.
No,
because
you're not.
most people. All right. Okay. I'm gonna let you talk. Go ahead. Let me give it to me.
No, but I didn't ask you whether New York was a sanctuary city. First of all, 8 U.S. Code 1158 says you don't have to come to a port of entry, so you're wrong. But I asked you how they got there. Are you telling me they walked from the border?
No, they were flown in. I'm assuming.
Incorrect, sir. They were bussed in. Do you know who bussed them there?
I do not.
Yeah, that would be very, very large Trump supporter Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas. Okay, who brags, about freaking busing migrants to New York City. All right, migrants that the state of Texas gets paid a lot of money to freaking house, that make sure that they actually get through the get through their process. He didn't want that. What he did is he sent them to the city of New York, and he sent them there in the middle of winter, and he sent them there without any of the money he gets, with no place to actually hold them and no way to feed them. Right? He literally played politics with people's lives. So the reason why you had all of those migrants in New York was specifically because of people like Greg Abbott, who are not only giant Republicans but giant Trump supporters.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna let's peel the layer back. Let's go one step. Okay, before we get to immigration, let me ask you a couple basic questions. Do you believe that a unifying culture is important to a cohesive country? To have like one culture for the most part. That doesn't mean,
No,
some people like basketball, some people like
I said
baseball. I'm
no.
not talking about menial differences.
You
I'm
don't need
saying,
to keep explaining. I already said no.
well, okay, so historically speaking, when we look at nation states, right, and empires, because the concept of a nation state is only something that really existed for like about 150 years. Before that, we had territories, we had chiefdoms, empires, kingdoms. Do these political entities, like the maps, lines we draw on the map, do they tend to stick together? Well, no, they actually tend to split apart. Country empires break apart. They come together, they break apart again. So my argument is that in 2025, right, for a country, right, it's better to have one cohesive culture. And I do think that if you see what's happening in Europe right now, the European Union has allowed mass migration of, Muslims I'm Muslim, I'm not Muslim, but I have a Muslim family. I'm agnostic, right? A large amounts of Muslims coming into the Near East, from the Near East coming into Europe, it has caused a lot of issues. So I do think
Sir.
that on a baseline, right? On a
Sir,
baseline level,
hold.
it is good to have one cohesive culture. And when
Literally,
you do have mass
sir.
migration like this, yes.
The existence of the European Union literally already beats your point. Literally, the entire point of the European Union is the coming together of multiple cultures. German culture, Italian culture, Polish culture, Belgian culture. The entire point of the European Union is many, many, many cultures coming together to form a cohesive unit. So just by the fact that you use the European Union and saying that letting migrants in to the EU was a problem, literally the entire reason there is an EU is because they have the understanding that multiple cultures together works better.
Okay, well, as a caveat, I'm not disagreeing with that, but as a caveat, I will say this. All the European countries you just named, right? They all, for the most part, we all share Western civilization, right? Now, I know that's a very controversial term. It's just been thrown around so much, it's kind of lost its meaning. And it does have a negative connotation behind it. But I do believe Europe and the Americas, for the most part, we all have like this Judeo-Christian Western civilization backgrounds, right? So that's kind of the unifying culture right there. We've seen, right? And I've been to Stockholm, I've been to England, I've been to I've been to Paris as well. It's been some time, but when you go to these countries, sir, I'm telling you,
Sir, I lived in Europe.
Right, and you will literally see trash on the street. You will see migrants harassing women, and just this. Hold on, sir. Just hear me out, right? Because I have friends who are leftist.
Hold on. No, sir, you've been talking for way too long, to be completely honest with you. Okay, who is the like per capita more likely to assault women in this country? Is it migrants or is it U.S. citizens?
Well, the data on that is not clear.
No,
sir.
it's insanely clear. It is so ridiculously clear. It's not even funny. It is very, very much U.S. citizens. All right, and it is very much actually overwhelming in that case, for the most part, like per capita, to be white males. Okay, so when you're talking about this cohesive culture, all right, literally, and you're saying, oh, there's migrants that are that are harassing women. Well, actually, in this country, we've seen that the people that are here, white men in this country, are actually the most likely people to be assaulting women. Okay, not migrants, not actually most like those men usually fall into the realm of those Judeo-Christian places. I mean, how many freaking hundreds of sexual assaults were committed last year by members of churches? Right? Literally hundreds last year. Okay. So you making this argument that somehow we are more cohesive because violent crimes are committed like more by freaking American citizens just doesn't make any sense. Right? We work better when we understand the culture that we're living in, understand it. Right. And right now the culture of the United States and the culture of the United States forever has been a melting pot. Okay. For a long time, for many times in this history, You weren't allowed to. You might not have been able to enter a bar if you were Irish, or been able to go into a certain store if you were Polish, or maybe there was different things. We had in the entire Jim Crow era where if you were black, you were demonized in this country, right? And now and now we're just moving forward to now it's Latino immigrants, and in 50 years, 100 years, it'll be another group of people that is arbitrarily made up. But the entire time, right? It's just finding someone to demonize. And that's all it is, okay? Because guess what? I was demonized. My heritage was demonized all the way through, and I'm an American citizen, like through and through. And so are my parents, or my grandparents and their parents before them. At least on my black side, they were. You know what I'm saying? So making this argument that immigrants somehow disrupt our culture is really kind of disgusting.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I've been writing down. I've been taking notes, because you seem like an intelligent guy, right? And I've just been taking notes, of what you've been saying. So here's the point right here. Leftists, right, or people on the left. I'm not saying you're a leftist, but people who are more liberal-minded, right? You guys are supposed to be the champions for women's rights, correct? You guys are supposed to champion women. You're supposed to champion minorities. You guys are supposed to stand up for the people that's kind of just been thrown to the wayside in society.
I can't speak for the left. I'm sorry. I know I do that, but I can't speak for the left.
Just generally, right?
No,
I'm saying that.
I think we should all do that, but continue with your point.
So my point is, right, is that me, right, as like a conservative, when I say, hey, you have countries in North Africa, in the Near East, right? Women in Saudi Arabia literally just got the right to drive like 10 years ago. Women in Afghanistan still can't go to school. Throughout all of North Africa, Morocco, Libya, Algeria, Egypt, Jordan, women face serious issues. So when I tell liberals this, right, you guys are supposed to be the ones that champion women's rights more than anything. But when I say, hey, look at over here, look at all these Middle Eastern women that are being treated poorly in the court of law, in public, you guys I feel like you guys just kind of don't care. And when we say, because we started this conversation, I said that I live in New York City, right? And a large influx of Venezuelan migrants have come to the inner cities, and a lot of women feel less safe. I just feel like on the left, as somebody, I feel like you are a representative of the left, even if you don't want to associate yourself with that. But it's like you guys do whataboutism, like, oh, what about this? What about that? But why can't it just be like, you know what? You're right. Some migrants are treating women bad. Migrants coming to Europe are treating women bad, and they don't have the same view of human. Because listen, I'm
hold on, dude, sir, sorry, you do not have to not everything has to be a 10-minute doctoral thesis. Okay.
No, but I'm just let's whataboutism. Why can't you just stand?
You literally just did a whataboutism. You literally were just like, oh, well, in Afghanistan they treat people here when they freaking Venezuela did this. Like, yeah, I'm sure there are people from every culture that treat women poorly. Okay. That doesn't change anything. Okay, there are people from Venezuela that I'm sure treat women poorly. There are people in Afghanistan that I know treat women poorly, especially in some other countries. And I know for a fact that there are a bunch of men that are American citizens that are born and raised here that treat women poorly. I mean, let's look at fucking Andrew Tate, for example, right? We have tons of people that treat women poorly, okay? But demonizing all migrants from a certain country just because a certain percentage of them treat women poorly is ridiculous. If we have people that are treating women poorly, we should stop them regardless of where they came from or what country they're from or what culture they're from. Should not matter. If people are treating women poorly, we should demonize those people because those people are the bad people, right? If we have migrants that come here and they commit crimes, then we should arrest, detain, convict, and then have them punish serve their sentence for whatever they've done. And then if they're a migrant, they should be deported afterwards. But taking all of those migrants as a whole and using the small amount of them, or and then applying that to all of the freaking migrants is crazy. How many of those people that actually came from Venezuela are actually women? What about the women that came from Venezuela that came to New York that were the ones that were being treated poorly, and now they came to the United States in order to escape that?
Okay, that's fair. Okay, I want to move on from immigration because I do agree. I'm not disagreeing with everything with what you said, but I guess we could, for some points, we'll agree to disagree because I don't want to take up too much of your time. Now, as far as Trump goes, right? Trump made most of his money before he went into office. We can agree on that. So when Trump went into office, he used the term "drain the swamp." Drain the swamp. What does that mean? That means that Nancy Pelosi, the establishment, I'm pretty sure, I don't know how much, I don't know if you identify as a Democrat, a liberal, or what your political leanings are, because most leftists I've talked to do not actually like the Democrats. But my point is that Trump said he's going to come drain the swamp. He made most of his money out of politics. But that's why the average Joe like myself, we buy more into Trump, because we're like, this is a guy that made his money. He doesn't need sponsors. He's not, people can't control what he says. Like, for example, right? Like, you have conservative politicians, right? Ron DeSantis, they can't say certain things because of their donors. Trump said, you know what? All these people on office, they're ripping us off. They're stealing money, stealing tax money, wild corruption. There's many sources on that. I'm pretty sure we could both agree on. So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with Trump saying, these are the guys that's ripping off everybody. We're going to come in. We're going to cut spending. We're going to get rid of the corruption. What's wrong with that?
Well, first of all, Donald Trump inherited his money. He did not make his money. Okay, let's start there. Second of all, Donald Trump was in his first term the person that was stealing. That's the problem with that, okay? We have all the documentation to show it. Donald Trump not only stole from the American taxpayer by upcharging things like at his rooms for his hotels in order to make more money, also charged people, had people that wanted direct access to the president to pay money at his freaking businesses, at his hotels and stuff like that. He's doing it currently with things like his meme coins, where you get direct access to the president if you pretty much pay into his meme coin and pay him off right there, right? So Donald Trump didn't say, have all of this money and then turn around and go into the White House and go, look, I'm uncorruptible because I already had all of my money. Let's be very clear that when people have a shit ton of money, the number one thing that they want is more money. Okay, billionaires didn't get to billionaires because they got satisfied with a certain amount of money. Donald Trump is the swamp. Okay, you can't remove yourself from the swamp if you are the swamp. Look at how many people that he took into office with him that were careers in politics, that are career billionaires in politics, right? He didn't bring in just everyday Joes to come in there and make common sense decisions. He brought in the exact people that he said he was going to get rid of. And we know this because every time he says that somebody was like part of the swamp or whatever, they're usually somebody that he hired. Okay, he hires people, then fires them for being part of the swamp. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, look at the entire thing with Elon right here. Like, literally, Elon and him are in this giant fight because the bill that Donald Trump is trying to do to literally take money from the lowest people in our society and hand it to billionaires. Okay, and Elon's like, I thought we were here to actually do good. I thought we were here to actually cut government spending. I thought we were actually here to like trim the fat off the government. And you look at this bill, and this bill doesn't do that. It does the exact opposite of that. So why am I here? That's not Donald Trump's intent, okay? He didn't make his money. He was given his money, and he did not do anything in his first term but enrich himself, and it looks like he's trying to do the same thing here.
Okay, you made a couple of fair points. I'll say that he did inherit most of his money, but at the same time, my argument was never how he got his money. My point is that he had money before he came into office. Now, as far as him being the swamp and him, hiring a lot of questionable people that, are establishment, listen, when you're in the White House, you can't totally divorce yourself from establishment politics, because these people have been in Washington for a lot longer than Trump has. The reason why I'm just giving you the perspective of like an average person, I feel like, and listen, sir, I have a lot of leftist friends. Like, trust me. Like,
I really don't need you to justify it. You can just go with your point. I don't need you to justify it.
My point is that leftists come off so smug sometimes because people are just trying to pay their mortgage, feed their kids, send their kids to college, and leftists just constantly harper about the most like mundane / extreme positions, trans issues, open borders. It's like, would you agree? This whole conversation just boils down to this. Would you agree that leftists focusing on the most random, non-consequential, most extreme positions, whether it be trans issues, open borders, like moving away from capitalism, higher taxes, like that, nobody supports this. The only people that support this are, for the most part, people that already have enough money to pay their bills, right? And that's why leftists come off as elitist. It's because it's man.
You're not even, no. You're repeating yourself now. You're just going in a circle, dude.
Let me
Like,
just make the
let's-
last. I'm not going to interrupt you. I promise.
No, but you just need to land the plane, dude.
The plane is this. The plane is this. Is that why are you surprised people support somebody like Donald Trump when he's just trying to help regular class people, and leftists can't stop talking about literally things that the average American doesn't either know about or doesn't care for? You know,
Sir,
it's like,
okay, I'm done now. That's fine. Okay. Sir, Kamala Harris made one comment about trans people 6 years ago, and the Republicans played it on repeat. Okay, the left never in this entire election brought up open borders, not once. The right did that. The right is no. Stop. You just brought up point after point after point after point that you're saying the left is bringing up, and the left is making this point off of. The left isn't doing that. The right is. The right is pigeonholing the left into these tiny little arguments, okay, which is not their huge thing. The entire stance with Kamala Harris's fucking tax policy was to raise taxes on the richest people, to give it to everyday people, to normal everyday people who are trying to go to work, pay their bills, pay their mortgage, send their kids to college. She wanted to take money from the rich people who are avoiding taxes and then give it to those people. Donald Trump is currently taking from those everyday people and giving it to the rich. Okay? The left, okay, while the left does support freaking trans people doing whatever trans people want to do because they're freaking just people and just being treated like human beings. And yes, that immigrants should fucking, be have legal paths to citizenship, and that people, should be treated like human beings. Okay? Doesn't mean that this, not one person on the left has ever said open borders. There was never a policy under the Biden administration that was for open borders. Never once during that. In fact, there was 3 different bills under the Biden administration to shut down the border, and Republicans blocked it. Okay? So I am a freaking leftist, okay? I do pay my mortgage. I do have a kid that'll be going to college soon. I do go to fucking work every day. Okay? The only difference is that I understand that the policies on the left generally help me, and I don't let places like Fox News tell me that they don't, okay? Or favor somebody like Donald Trump over that, when Donald Trump literally freaking just gave the largest tax cuts to the richest people in his first term, and he literally is championing a bill to do the exact same thing. Not for regular people, not for me and you, not for people that go to work every day and pay our mortgage and freaking try to send our kids to college, not for us, for the elitists. For the richest people in this country. Okay? Kamala Harris said one thing about trans people 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and the right ran commercials on it. I know, because they were all over TVs in my gym. Okay? Those are not leftist policies. Those are things the right wants to make the left about, because they understand if it's a direct freaking thing on freaking actual economic policy or something like that, then they lose. Then the right can't win. So they have to make it about identity politics because that's all they have.
Well, I feel like the right only resorts to that because this is the world, you reap what you sow. Like, this is the world that the leftists you guys have been in power for so long that, okay, first of all, you said that trans people are dehumanized. We don't treat like they deserve. Nobody on the right has ever said, and if they do, they're wrong. I'm telling you, as your average conservative, I'm telling you that
Donald Trump has said it.
Well, he's wrong. And
you voted for him.
Wrong. I did, but that doesn't mean
You're up here defending him right now.
Hold on, sir. Hold on.
No. Don't hold on, dude. You voted for him. You support him. You're up here defending him right now. He did it.
Listen, sir. Hold on. I have people in my neighborhood, right? They did questionable things. And I don't agree with the things that they did, but that doesn't mean I'm just going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's still my brother. That's still my friend. Same thing with Donald Trump. I don't agree with everything he's done. And I don't agree with everything. I'm sure he's going to do things in the future that I don't agree with. But I voted for him because I share more values with him, and I feel like he's a better option for the country than Kamala Harris. Now, I'll tell you this. No, I've never said trans people shouldn't be treated like human. I have many classical liberal values. Like, I believe that freedom of religion, I have no problem with gay people. There's nothing wrong with being trans. There's nothing, I'm not for transphobia. But what I am against is biological men versus women in sports, pushing it on children. This is where you guys lose the average American.
Yeah, no problem, sir. Can you please tell me 3 trans people that were competing in the NCAA of the 12 total that this applies to? Can you please tell me the names of 3 of them and what sport they played?
Man, you damn, sir. You okay? You got me. Okay, hold on. What about
Yeah.
the lead? What about the Olympic guy? The Olympic. I forgot his or her name, but I'm pretty sure that if you look, I'm not the most well read on this, but it's a Google search away. You can look up clearly. Women are getting beat up by trans women.
Her name was Khalif Iman. She was not in the NCAA. She's Algerian. Okay. Where, by the way, being trans is illegal. And she was born a woman and has given birth to a child. See, this is why you say what I do care about is freaking trans people in sports, but then you don't know a single thing about trans people in sports. You don't know a single thing. You know nothing. Okay? So you don't care about it. Okay? You have been told that you're supposed to care about it, right? You've been told that you're supposed to care about it. All right? You don't give a shit about it. You probably don't. Tell me 3 WNBA teams.
The Indiana Fever, the Los Angeles Sparks, and the New York Liberty. I knew
you were going to name that. I knew you were going to say those ones. But yeah, most people don't even care about women's sports. I can barely tell you 3 WNBA teams. You know why? Because I don't really give a shit about the WNBA. Okay? The only thing I really truly, I don't give a fuck. All right?
Okay.
But I don't sit up here and pretend to care about women's wrestling in college. I don't care about men's wrestling in college, to be completely fucking honest with you. I don't give a shit about most fucking college sports like that. I like watching the NFL, and I'll watch college basketball sometimes, and I'll watch the NBA. Okay. But I don't sit up here and be like, oh, it's really all about women in sport. No, it's not, because you don't care. You really truly don't give a shit. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Just be honest with yourself. You don't care. You just got told that it's about this thing with women or something like that, but you don't know anything, right?
Well,
right.
I wouldn't know anything, but yes,
sir. I asked you to name me 3 of the girls that Donald Trump got banned from the NCAA, and you named one person who wasn't even American and was born a woman and has given birth to a child.
But this is my point.
That is the point, dude.
No. You're right. I conceded that. Okay, you got that.
Okay.
But this is my whole point with the left, right, sir, is just that I told you, right? I respect trans people. I respect gay people, right? Most people that identify as conservative were actually very chill and very easygoing people. It's just that and it sucks because it's you're such a smart dude, and it's you guys pick the most extreme positions and just push people away.
I'm sorry. Trans people deserve to live their life as human beings is an extreme position.
They can live their life. They can live their lives, sir. We're just saying don't push it on kids and keep them out of.
Sir, nobody's pushing it on kids. That's not happening. Okay. And the sports thing, you don't care about. So how is it an extreme position? Literally, I just said the left's whole position. Let trans people live their life without the government coming in and interfering with it. That's the whole position. Any other of this bullshit that you're talking about, this whole pushing it on kids, and that's all the right's position telling you what the left is thinking. No one on the left is saying that. No one on the left is saying any of this shit. You're saying this. The right is saying that. The left isn't saying that.
Okay, that's fair. All right.
Okay.
This the last.
Anyways,
okay, so,
I'm going to get off the phone with you because I've been on the phone with you for way too long, and I'm going to move on to another caller. But I hope you have a wonderful day, okay?
All right, you too, though.
All right. What are you talking about? Oh, the left takes this. No, we don't. No, we don't. Just hey, immigrants are human beings and deserve respect. Trans people are human beings and deserve respect. There's my extreme position from the left. I hope that we can make our way through this extreme position. Y'all, if you guys are on the TikTok side, let's get this thing up to 50,000 likes. If you guys are on the YouTube side, if you guys do me a favor, go up to the top, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We do this every single day. Whether you love me or hate me, make sure you're here for the conversation. It's really, really fun. And we do have a good time. Oh, thank you so much. If you guys would like support, if you're on the YouTube side, I do have super chats and stuff. I'm about to read a couple of them right now and put them up on the screen, so that'll be really fun. But before I do that, Cedric, thank you so much for the Cash App, the $5 Cash App. I really appreciate that. All my pay links are in my bio if you want those too. They're all at Polypolitics. I really appreciate that. Truth Davis said, make MAGA crash out. We are all immigrants, 92%, 1000% truth. I really appreciate that. And yes, we are all immigrants. Let's just stop pretending like we're not. Okay. And Ali, thank you so much for the very big super chat over here. It says self-hating Indians came in large numbers for the Republican Party model minority. Now Trump has catch and revoke policies canceling student visas and affecting particularly Indians and other Asian immigrants. Fuck around and find out. W. Polly. Ali, you are 100% right, correct. You're also seeing a lot of the same stuff with the Latino community who came out in droves for Donald Trump and are now the people that are, the most angry about his immigration policies and stuff like that. So you are seeing it from lots of people under the Trump administration. So you are very, very right. And thank you so much, Ali. Hello, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
I am 24 years old. Can you hear me?
Yep. And do you support Trump?
That's the point I was trying to make. In some aspects I do, and in some aspects I don't. I don't know if it falls under the debate you want to have on your YouTube channel, but here I am.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of that, and it's actually really funny because I've been doing debates like this for a long time, and it used to be like, yeah, Trump, and now it's a lot of, some things I do,
Oh, really?
some things I don't. Like, it's always like this, like, middle ground thing. Nobody wants to, like, really talk about Donald Trump's, like...
What about me? I'm here to talk about it.
No, I'm just saying,
I'm really
like,
that
it's...
fucking guy.
I'm
really that guy, though.
Okay.
I'm really that guy. Portland, fucking Oregon. You understand me? I'm really that guy.
Man,
That's
you have some
in
emotional
Portland.
issues, don't you?
No, I mean, Biden fucked me last night because he's just old and decrepit and probably should have been dead 4 years ago. But it's all good, brother.
That's very weird sexual fantasy, but all right, man, I'm gonna let you get back to that. That's kind of weird. It's a very strange, like, little sexual fantasy that he's got going on there.
Insane!
Cialdini Institute, thank you so much for becoming a member on YouTube. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hi, welcome to the live. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
I don't know. It just hung up on me for some reason. I don't know if you did it or I did it.
Hello?
Well, I don't support transgender people being involved in women's sports or vice versa. I don't, because I believe it's not fair.
Okay. Who are you?
I am Oscar Rendon. I am a 24-year-old male. You answered me a while ago, but it hung up.
Okay. So, anyways, I'm not trying to go down this entire freaking, like, trans person topic.
No,
it's
I'm
really
not trying
fucking
to,
weird.
I know it's all up to you, my friend. I'm not here to, like, argue anything. I'm here to have a healthy debate.
It's not a healthy debate.
You're well within your right.
I know it's just a really weird thing. All right,
well,
like,
we can talk about something
sir,
else.
I'm in the middle of a sentence, please. Thank you. Okay, awesome. It is
my
a
parents
very
are
strange.
illegal. If that spices anything.
Nope.
For you.
The only thing that matters right now is your lack of self-control.
You're lacking self-control. I told you I wanted to have
Good comeback. I'm in the middle of a sentence that I've been trying to say twice.
Over yourself for some reason.
Okay. I think it's very, very weird that people's entire political policy is based off of 12 people in the NCAA that they don't care about.
I haven't even. That's not only what I.
All right. I'm just going to move on to the next person because obviously if we can't get through one sentence without the crash out, then this is going to be a very, very long conversation. Hello, welcome to the live. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 15 years old.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to be at least 18 to be on the live. I do apologize, but that is the rules for some of the social media stuff on here. But I appreciate you. Hello, welcome to the live. How are you today?
Hi, what's up?
Hi, how old are you?
I'm 30 years old.
30 years old. Do you support Trump?
Oh yeah, hell yeah, I do.
I appreciate
support
it.
any president.
That doesn't make any sense. Also, the welding beaver, can I call next? Put me on the list. Sorry, I don't have a list. It's just I just answer the phone, man. I'm sorry. I don't.
Oh no, I know how it works. I was just hoping I'd get through. I figured I'd done.
Are you the welding beaver?
The conversations. You know what I mean?
Are you the welding beaver?
Yes, sir, I am.
Oh, well, that was convenient that I had to put you on there. Yeah, sorry guys. I don't have like any fancy. I don't have a crew back here or a fancy anything. No. I just answer the phone and whoever it picks up on, I get. But that is convenient thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man. I appreciate the conversation, whether they go good or bad.
All right, awesome. So you support Trump and you said you're 30?
Sorry about that. My phone pulled up the YouTube. All right, what's going on, man?
You said you're 30 and you support Trump. Is that what you said? I just be clear.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So why do you support Trump?
Well, the first 4 years did me very well. I don't know if that was mainly because of him. I wasn't really paying attention to politics at the time, but I was making a lot less money than I was making now, and I was doing very well for myself. And then Biden came in, and honestly, it didn't really affect my life too much, but everything I've seen him and Kamala and the entire administration doing, I just don't agree with.
All right. So what do you disagree with them doing?
I disagree with turning your back to the border and just letting 10 million people come into our country. When I'm a drug addict myself, sober, but you have over 100,000 deaths of fentanyl every year coming directly from the Mexican border. Not blaming the Mexican people, but that's just the truth. Whether it comes from China or Korea, wherever it comes from, it doesn't matter. It's coming up through the border, and they turn their back on that border.
Sir, the Biden administration had a comprehensive immigration reform bill that was on the table a week after his presidency. And then another one just over a year later, and then another one 3 years in. All of them were stopped by Republicans.
But all that doesn't matter. You're the president of the United States. You can put more people at the border to stop people just from walking through. Also, what's true
hold on,
is
but sir,
hold
on. There was two parts in there that I wanted to bring up. One, no, you can't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah,
off.
no, one you can't, because through executive order, you can't appropriate funds. Right. So in order to add more people at the border, as far as like Border Patrol agents, you need money. And in order to get money, you need Congress. So that's what was in all three of Joe Biden's immigration bills, was to add more immigration officers to the border and to give them more things, more technology and stuff like that. And each time the Republicans blocked it. Second of all, as far as the F drug is concerned, that is over 90% brought in by American citizens, not by undocumented migrants. And third of all, the number of people that are actually in this country after the Biden administration is about 1.6 million, not 10 million.
All right, let's talk about the second fact you just stated. You said it's brought in by American citizens?
Over 90%, yes. Well, but I think it's actually 89%.
Where are you citing that from?
Customs and Border Protection.
Okay. All right. So there is no possible way to cross the border with let alone a gram of fentanyl, let alone pounds of fentanyl. It's just not you cannot get through the border as an American citizen with fentanyl.
Yes, you can, sir. And it happens.
A very smart trafficking system, which is used by the cartels.
Yes, sir. The cartels.
So if they use an American citizen, they're just using a tool to get it through the border.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
I agree that it is a tool used by the cartel in order to do that, and they are using American citizens. But what I'm saying, sir,
it's not the people that need money.
But sir, what I'm saying is that blocking immigrants from coming in is not solving the problem. What we need is better. What we need is more immigration officers. What we need is to give them more tools to be able to do their job. And all of those things would have happened if any of Joe Biden's immigration bills, including one that was written by a Republican, had actually gone into effect and wasn't blocked by Republicans.
Joe Biden didn't understand half the bills he was signing and what he was doing while he was in office. He was so cognitively declined that he didn't know what was in those bills. It wasn't just an immigration bill like you're saying. I'm sure it had that in the bill. He wanted to do that. I believe he did. But they also make those bills 900,000, 1,200 pages long where you don't know what's in that bill. You have no idea what's in that bill. If that's 1 point, that's 1 point. But they also add other shit. They add a whole bunch of unnecessary things that follow their policy.
Sir, the
left would want, but the right would not.
Sir, the third immigration bill was written by the right, and it was a standalone bill.
Okay. Look, man, I'm not going to argue with you. I ain't followed politics too closely. I stopped watching the news, both sides, Fox and CNN, because it's both bullshit. I did my own research on everything. The reason I did not vote for Kamala Harris, I was going to at first because, Trump was out. I figured he was going to be too old by the end, and I wanted somebody in that wasn't 80 fucking years old. So I was going to vote for Kamala Harris. You want to know the reason I didn't vote for her?
I mean, that's fine, I guess.
Number one, she is a liar. completely through and through. She has lied to keep countless people in jail for marijuana charges in California. That's one.
Not true.
Number two, she lied about being black to appease the black voters. It's not me saying it. It's not Fox News. Look up Candace Owens, a black woman.
Candace Owens.
30 hours.
Candace Owens has also said that we should bring back slavery.
Documentation on her genealogy.
Candace Owens
to prove that
sir.
not only was she not black, but she's from a prominent Indian family that owned slaves in Jamaica.
Sir,
150%.
Candace Owens.
She wrote a whole fucking book
Sir,
that said she was black and
she
added
is
people
black,
that she called
sir.
her grandmama
Sir,
that had nothing to,
sir,
no relation
she is
to
black,
her. It's
sir.
proven.
Sir, she's black.
She is not black. She is not even
Yeah.
a fucking.
Here, I'm
gonna
gonna blow your mind right now. Okay, I'm gonna
Go
blow
ahead,
your
let's do
mind.
it, baby. Come on. I
Yeah.
only got 9 minutes with you, buddy.
Yeah, your family history doesn't determine whether you're black.
Yes, it does. What
No,
do you,
it does
your
not.
genealogy?
I'm sorry.
100%
I'm
determines
sorry.
what you are.
Sorry, sir. If you're Mexican, where's your family from?
Your family's from somewhere in South America, and it probably came
If you're
from
Mexican?
somewhere else. If you're Mexican, your family is from the continent of South America. Yeah. What are you trying to say? Are you trying to gotcha me? I'm not trying to do no gotcha shit with you. I'm just trying to have a conversation with you. Just tell me if I'm wrong.
I wasn't trying to. I kind of got one, not even trying to.
All
but
right. So
all right.
Tell me what
Well,
I said.
well,
what did I say that was incorrect?
Well, first of all, if you're Mexican, you're from families from Mexico. First of all, and second of all, Mexico is not in South America. It's in
North America.
It's in
There
North
you go.
America. So
Right. Okay.
I wasn't
So
trying to
if
get
you're
a gotcha
Mexican,
there.
you're
I
from
was just trying to
Mexico.
ask you a simple question. Okay. So
How
yeah,
are you black? How are you
sir,
black if your family is
sir, I'm in the
Indian,
middle
is
of
what I
explaining
wanna
it to you. If you would let me explain it, we'd already be done. Okay.
Go ahead, bud.
Yeah.
You keep
If
doing
you're-
this shit, and then you was talking about how Donald Trump is charging taxpayers more money for a fucking room. What about the
Why are you sir?
fucking
Stop
$1
pivoting,
million a week
sir.
that Biden
Please don't make me.
for sending to the
5, 4,
Taliban
3,
after they
2,
killed 13
1.
Marines when they pulled out
I will
of
hang up on you
Afghanistan.
if you are not quiet. Okay. I don't need your pivot. Okay? And please stop crashing out. Okay? I'm going to ask you a few questions. Okay? I need you to stay with me here. Okay? If you're Irish, where's your family from?
Can I talk?
That's a question, yes.
Ireland.
Awesome. If you are Sudanese, where's your family from?
Can I speak?
Go ahead.
You're from Sudan.
Awesome. Where is black?
Excuse me?
Where's the country of black? I've been trying to find it on a
Well,
map
she was
or
speaking of black of African descent.
no,
That's
she
what
wasn't. She was speaking of black
Yes, she
as
was.
black. No, she was speaking
She's
of
not
black
black.
as black
She's not
because
black.
black
I don't
does
know an
not mean
Indian that
African.
calls himself
No,
black.
sir. Black
I don't
is
know
not
one Indian
African.
that says they're black.
I don't
Not
care
one.
if you don't know one Indian. That changes
I've
nothing
never
for me.
heard one though. Is what I'm saying.
Sir,
I've never read a
sir,
book where an
I'm
Indian
sorry,
said they were black.
sir. I
They say
don't
they're
care.
Indian.
Okay?
They're
I-
Asian
sir,
American.
Sir,
That's what
sir,
you can say.
sir. Indian, okay, is not a race. Okay? It's an ethnicity.
Yes.
Okay?
Correct.
Black
Yeah, they don't
is
call themselves black.
black is a race.
They're
Okay?
not black though.
Sir, you don't get
Most
to decide.
of them are light
Sir.
brown. Most of them look Asian.
Sir,
Not a lot of them
you,
look black.
sir, you don't get to decide who's black or not. Okay?
All right, here we go. Because she
You
lied
don't.
in a whole book. Now I'm the one that's fucking wrong.
Sir,
for
she
calling
didn't
it
lie.
out.
She is very black. Her mother is from India and
She
has is
put a picture.
Sir, I swear
Go
if you
ahead.
yell over me
I'm
one
sorry.
more time, I will hang up on you. Okay?
What
Because
are you gonna hang up? Go ahead and hang up, dude. I don't give a shit.
all right, bye. Her mother is from Indian heritage and has Indian ethnicity. Okay? And her father was from Jamaica. Okay? All right. She is very black. Okay? Actually, I'm black in this country and she's blacker than I am. Okay? Not that there's like a scale. All right. Not that there's like a black scale. But see, my mother's family, right, is African American, and my father's family is Irish. All right. But see, I'm black. That's how this works. Because it's a race. I was trying to explain the difference between race and ethnicity and actually have an intellectual conversation with you. It's a shame you had to keep screaming. Big Man, thank you so much for the super chat. Big Man said there's a minimal amount of trans people in sports and schools. Look up the stats, people. Yeah, I believe it was 12. Actually, I believe it was actually 12. If I remember correctly. So we should base our entire policy in America based off of 12 people. Really make sure we get on that really quickly. But thank you, Big Man, for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's funny, usually I get a few super chats from people that can't stand me. I haven't gotten any of those today. That's surprising. Also, I do have the little gifts and stuff going on too. I just started those things too. They're kind of cool. Hello, welcome to the live. How are you? Sunny, thank you so much for the money gun. I appreciate that. Hello?
Can you repeat that?
How old are you?
19.
All right, where you were reborn?
It's everybody's favorite, guys. It's Lily. I'm back. W's in the chat for Lily. Have a good day.
Bye. Hi. Bye, Lily. Hello, welcome to the live. How are you today?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Did you vote for Trump?
I sure did.
Do you still support him?
Yes.
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 40.
Awesome. I will put the man, the legends up here just because he is my biggest fan. But
what's that?
I'm just putting somebody's super chat up just because he's my biggest fan. But besides that, my biggest fan's a Trump supporter on here. His name's the man, the legend. Actually, him and his wife and my girlfriend had a very long conversation yesterday.
All right.
Yeah, in my chat, very loudly. Yeah, pretty wild. Anyways, so why do you support Trump?
Because his policies benefit me.
Okay, and how do they benefit you?
Why do they have to?
How do they benefit you?
Well, he's closing down the border. He's attempting to bring back American manufacturing.
Awesome. How does closing down the border benefit you?
It makes our streets safer.
No, I'm not asking how our streets safer. How does it benefit you? You said it benefits you. I want to know it specifically how it benefits you. That's my question.
It makes our streets safer.
It makes our streets safer is not a benefit
It's
to you. That would be an American thing. But right now, we also know that undocumented migrants commit crime at a rate 30 times less than American citizens do. So it doesn't make our streets safer. If we actually wanted to, we're going to make our streets safer, we would actually be deporting American citizens.
Well, we don't deport American citizens.
Donald Trump's already deported 3.
Who did he deport?
I forgot their names right off the top of my head. But I can pull them up if you want.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. But regardless of that, migrants don't add this undue burden of crime on anything. So it doesn't make our streets safer. Actually, if you actually look at the statistics, undocumented migrants are actually much more stand-up citizens than Americans are. And it really, truly makes sense that they are, right? Like, honestly, if you really just came here to seek a better life for your family, whether, if you're trying to, send money to back home or, you're trying to support your family here or whatever. I mean, if that was me, right, like I would be on my best behavior, right? And that's what you see. Now, are there some bad apples in that? 100% there are. I'm not saying that every single migrant is a good person or not a single migrant has committed a crime. I mean, look at people like Molly Tibbetts, right? And so, yeah, it definitely happens that way. And that's an absolutely horrible thing. But demonizing all migrants because of a very tiny percent of people that commit violent crimes doesn't make any sense, because that would be me like saying that, like, I can't stand, I need to get rid of, all straight white men because they're the people that are most likely to commit sexual assaults in this country, right?
I don't think that statistic is correct.
It is. Yeah, it very, very much is. Okay. But regardless of that, all right, I don't sit around and demonize let's say you, for example, right? I'm going to go ahead and assume that the description of a man that I just made fits you, right? I'm not afraid of you, nor would I demonize you, nor would I say that, all white people are bad or that all straight men are bad or any of those things. I wouldn't say any of those things just because there is a certain percentage of, of people that are like you that commit crimes, right? Like violent crimes. I don't demonize the whole group because of the individual. What I do is I demonize the individual because they're the ones that are doing the wrong thing. And no matter which group of people that you have, whether you're white, black, Indian, as we said before, American citizens, immigrants, men, women, straight, gay, trans, no matter what, there's always going to be a certain percentage of people that are just really shitty people. So I'd rather focus my energy just on shitty people, not on trying to demonize all of immigrants for that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I would assume 90% of the illegal immigrants that come across the border are probably good people.
It's much higher than 90, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't have a statistic. I'm just assuming.
Yeah, again, the violent crime rate among especially undocumented immigrants is incredibly low. Yeah, like incredibly low. Like they don't even want to be freaking jaywalking again because they're afraid of getting deported, right? Like you want to stay away from the police. Yeah. So yeah, these deportations are not making your street safer. What would actually be keeping your street safer again is going after criminals, which is what Donald Trump claimed he was going to do. And then, his immigration czar or whatever, he calls them or whatever, went out and said, we're not deporting enough people. Why are you just going after criminals? You need to start hitting Home Depots and 7-Elevens. His words, not mine. He said, you guys need to go out and start hitting Home Depots and 7-Elevens. And that's actually what led to, the ICE agents going to, Cardina, like Home Depots and Cardina's, supermarkets in California, which started this entire, debacle that we have in LA right now.
Yeah, but they're here illegally. I don't have a problem with legal immigration.
Yeah, sir. I understand that they're here illegally, and I also don't agree that people that are here illegally should be here. Right? I think that we should have valid ways for them, for people to be able to have a path towards citizenship, and I do believe that we should stop people that are here illegally from being here. I do agree that, right? I agree with that, but why are we spending all of these resources going after people that are literally not committing any crimes? They're doing no harm to our society, that are contributing to our society, that are inputting to our society, that are working and trying to, just take care of their families just like you and I. Why should we put an incredible amount of tax resources out of our dollars in order to do that?
Well, and I mean, they committed a crime by crossing the border illegally.
Yeah, what level of crime is that?
I believe it's a misdemeanor.
It's a Class E misdemeanor. It's the equivalency of jaywalking. Okay? And we're not freaking sending ICE agents out to freaking hound people's doors because they saw someone jaywalking. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like a speeding ticket. Now, if somebody speeds and freaking, we pull them over for a speeding ticket and, they should have that speeding ticket. And if they don't pay it, we can, do what the law says. But I don't know if we should be sending masked agents around just collecting people over a Class E misdemeanor.
But we don't know who these people are. We don't know who they are. We don't know if they're good or bad.
I don't know if you're good or bad.
And do they contribute? Well, fair, but I'm also an American citizen.
Yeah, again, sir, but we don't go after people because we don't know whether they're good or bad. We don't know whether most people are good or bad, right? Because we haven't done background checks on most people that you walk across around the street in. Like when I go to Publix, I don't know who there is good or bad, right?
We have the right to privacy for that.
We do have the right to privacy for that. But again, I don't know who's good or bad, right? I don't know at any point in time who's good or bad that's around me, right?
Yeah.
But again, like you said, like even at your own admission, you said 90%, I said much higher. Even you said that over 90% of migrants are really good people. And you believe that also. So why are we rounding up the 90 because we might find somebody that's bad? Why don't we just go after the people that we know are bad?
Well, it helps us find the people that are bad because usually it's from a coyote that's smuggling people across the border, and they can lead us to those people.
Yeah,
and
I think
part
that
of the reason why we need to stop people coming across the border illegally is because when the Border Patrol agents are detaining these illegal immigrants, they're distracted, so they're not stopping the drugs and guns and all the other crap that's coming across from the cartels.
Sir, I agree that we need to stop people at the border. Again, which is why I supported under the Biden administration when we had massive immigration reform that could have been passed a long time ago and the Republicans stopped it.
That wouldn't have helped the border situation. That would have facilitated it to make it easier for the people because it was in the bill.
What was in the bill?
They were going to speed up the process for people to get into the country.
Wrong.
That
was not in there.
What was in the bill then?
There's a ton in the bill, including more money for more border patrol agents, more money for more technology on the border so they could stop things. Money for the wall was in there, actually. I'm assuming you're talking about the Langford bill. And actually what it was speeding up the process, but I don't think you realize how it was. It was speeding up the process for asylum seekers that were already in the country to have their cases processed. And considering that the large majority, I think it's like only about it's like something like 90% of people that seek asylum in this country are here and don't actually have a valid asylum claim according to our laws. So it would have sped up their process, which would have sped up their deportation to get rid of them faster.
Yeah, but the stay in Mexico thing worked really well from keeping them out.
Keeping legal migrants out? Yes.
Yeah, we have to investigate their claims for asylum.
Yes, sir. But why are people seeking asylum?
Well, they can say whatever they want. Not all of them had a genuine reason to seek asylum, but I assume that their reason for asylum is because they think that their life is in danger.
All right, perfect. So let's just assume, because I think you can at least admit, right, that a certain number of people that are seeking asylum, they actually do have valid claims. They actually are in danger for their life, correct?
Fair.
Okay, cool. So those people that are in danger for their life, what the Remain in Mexico policy is saying is stay right where you are in danger for the next 4 to 5 years, and then maybe you could come over. Now, does that sound very humane to you?
It sounds fine to me.
Sir, if they're in mortal danger for their life in the place that they're at, how is telling them to stay in that place humane?
There's people from over 160 different countries.
Sir. No, stop. I'm asking you about the person that is in freaking Mexico right now or wherever they're at, okay? Like Honduras, wherever, okay? This is pretty much the example, okay? And like it's pretty simple, okay? If you're in your house, okay, and it's on fire, okay? Do we need to wait like an hour or two to investigate before we show up to your house to see if your house is actually on fire? Or should we show up and get you out like immediately because now that we see it's on fire, and then we'll figure out whether you said it or not later?
With that context, yeah, I can understand that. But also, it's a valid, point to see that these people are coming from over 160 different countries, right?
I mean, yes, but the large majority of coming from the Northern Triangle, Mexico, and Northern South America.
Okay, fair.
I mean, like the 90-something% of them. But if you want to say, yes, they have stopped a person or two or 5 from another, from other countries, that's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also, there's people from Yemen, from Afghanistan, from all over the Middle East, India, Bangladesh, everywhere coming, right? And they're just getting into the country, and we don't know who they are. We don't know where they're going.
That's not true.
I mean,
well, first of all, sir, if you seek asylum in this country, there is a background check ran on you, right? Multiples, actually. So if you're seeking asylum, we do know where you came from, and we do know your past. And second of all, like almost 40% of people that seek asylum in this country aren't even let in. So it's not like you have someone from Yemen is coming over here seeking asylum, not getting a background check, and just being let in. That's not how that works.
Okay, my point is that there's people illegally crossing the border from these countries coming in. We have no idea where they're going or who they are. And Yemen's not exactly a fan of us.
Well, sir, you just switched the subject, though.
I'm sorry?
You just switched the subject. I already agreed with you that undocumented migrants, we should be stopping them and detaining them and making sure they're coming here the right way. I already agreed with you on that. We were talking about the Remain in Mexico policy. All right. We were talking about the Remain in Mexico policy, and the Remain in Mexico policy doesn't cover undocumented migrants. That's for documented migrants.
Okay, but when Biden was president, there was no remain in Mexico.
Right, sir. But again, sir, you're confusing documented migrants with undocumented migrants. Okay, you're saying you're agreeing. You said you're agreeing with the remain in Mexico policy. That's documented migration. Okay, it's documented migration, not undocumented migration. So I'm just confused here because you were like, you're talking about documented migrants and then you're talking about undocumented migrants. I'm just trying to figure out where we're at here. You seem to be jumping back and forth.
My whole thing was about securing the border. Right, under Biden, the border wasn't secured. We had people coming over from everywhere.
Sure, we've always had people coming over from everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, under
And
Trump's first
been
administration,
higher
under Obama, under Bush, we've always had people coming over from everywhere. That's just kind of how this country works.
I understand this, but under Biden, the border was pretty much open.
It was not.
Okay. Record numbers of people coming across the border that we caught every month, but yeah, sure, it wasn't open.
Correct. Because specifically, sir, you just told me that they were caught. And they were caught by Border Patrol, and they were caught by Border Patrol because it wasn't open. Okay. An open border means that we don't have people there stopping people. Okay. So we don't have immigration enforcement. Is that all of Border Patrol just goes home and we just let people in and we don't worry about it. That's what an open border is. By saying that we had border encounters, by saying we had a record number of stops, it literally is the definition of having a closed border because the Border Patrol is doing their job.
All right.
The entire open border thing is a farce. It was never that was never a real thing. Okay. Now, did we have higher numbers of immigration? 100%. But I mean, pretty much every year we have that. The Biden administration tried to help with immigration, and the Republicans stopped them. So I don't know, like.
All right. Agree to disagree.
We're not really agreeing to disagree, sir. You're just following logic that doesn't make any sense, right? You're saying specifically that we had an open border. You're just saying we had a lot of immigration. Okay. I can agree with you that we had a lot of immigration. We had a lot more people show up. We had the expiration of Title 42. We had mass socioeconomic disruption in the Northern Triangle. We had lots of things that were going on that caused a lot more people, especially asylum seekers, to show up at the border. We had a lot of that stuff. Okay. And that's why we needed, at that time, that's why we needed better immigration policy. And that's why the Biden
immigration policy, we had it. And then
no, we didn't.
Biden stopped enforcing it.
No, sir. We have the same immigration laws in this country since the 1960s. And no, we did not stop enforcing them. The Biden administration doesn't even have the ability to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, the Border Patrol was still stopping people. They were still letting people under our asylum law. They were still deporting people at a mass level. They were still doing all the things by the law. The law just needed to change.
But it was basically catch and release, though. They say, hey, show up to court this day, and then they don't show up, and then they go wherever they want in the country.
Sir, that again is for legal migrants, okay? For asylum seekers.
That was also for illegal migrants that were coming across the border. They weren't detaining them. Well, they would detain them, and then they would let them go. Give them a court date.
For a court date for what?
To do their little immigration hearing.
Why would they need an immigration hearing? They're here illegally. Under what status would they have to have an immigration hearing?
Because they claim asylum, because that's what they were told.
Asylum is not an illegal immigration. Again, and 40% of people who sought asylum were immediately turned around and deported.
Yeah.
That's not catch and release, sir.
Okay. They detain them. They do the whole little biometric things on them. And then they let them go and say, hey, show up to your asylum hearing. And then they don't show up, and then they're wherever they go in the country.
Sir,
is
almost
dangerous.
it was like 88 or 89% of asylum seekers that didn't have a lawyer showed up to their hearings, and something like 95% of people with lawyers did.
Okay.
So this whole they're not showing up for their hearings and disappearing in it, that doesn't that's not logical, sir. Second of all, most of their asylum hearings were pushed out 7, 8 years after they were there.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have even had a time, like even now they wouldn't have gotten to their asylum hearing yet. The time hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So
I
how are
understand
you
that.
saying they didn't show up to asylum hearings that they haven't had yet?
Because it wasn't always pushed out that far.
Yes, sir. For the most part, it was, which is why we needed more judges, which is why we needed more court staff, which is why we needed to be able to process asylum seekers faster, which again, sir, was in the bill that Joe Biden was trying to pass.
Yeah. What else was in the bill?
That one, it was a standalone bill until Republicans asked it to be added to other things.
I'm sorry, you broke up at the end.
I said it was a standalone bill until Republicans asked it to be added to other things.
What were the other things?
Well, they asked to tag it onto the Ukraine and Israel funding.
Yeah, we shouldn't have been funding Ukraine in the first place. They've never been an ally. They're not a part of NATO.
Yes, they are.
But no, they're not.
Yes, they are an ally. They're not part of NATO, but they are an ally.
They've never been an ally.
They've been an ally for a long time.
When?
At least since 1994.
All right.
When the Budapest Memorandum was signed.
Okay. Well, in my opinion, we shouldn't have been funding that war.
Well, sir, do you believe that we need more or less nuclear weapons in this world?
I would like to see less. I would like to see none, but they're also a deterrent, and they're also not going to go anywhere.
I would also like to see less, though. I don't think we can get to a point of none, but I think less, I think we can agree with, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, do you remember, like, how old are you, sir? You said, how old are you? How old are you?
40.
You said 40?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So maybe you don't remember this because you're about my age, all right? But you like, I'm sure you've read in like history books and stuff that, you know, Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so when it was part of the Soviet Union, did you know that the Soviet Union kept a lot of their nuclear weapons in Ukraine?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And when the Soviet Union fell, a lot of those nuclear weapons stayed in Ukraine.
Or went missing, but yes.
Okay. For the most part, they stayed in Ukraine, right? And so what we said was, hey, we don't like that, and we would rather there be less nuclear weapons. Okay? We'd rather be less. We don't want Ukraine to have nuclear weapons. We already have too many countries that want nuclear weapons. So we made a deal with Ukraine that said, hey, if you give up your nuclear weapons and get rid of all of them, so we have one less country with nuclear weapons, if you're ever attacked, we'll support you. That's what we agreed to in 1994 in our lifetime. It's not like this was like some like long ago, far away time. This wasn't the Ottoman Empire. This was during our lifetime. We were both in elementary school. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we agreed that if that ever happened, we would support them. Well, now they're attacked, and it's our job to now live up to our agreement because they did their part. They denuclearized. So now it's our turn to live up to our side of our agreement. You sound like a grown man. Don't you agree that when you make a deal with someone, shake someone's hand, make an agreement with someone, sign a contract, that you should be responsible for that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we signed a contract and shook the hands with the Ukrainians and said we would help defend them and we would support them. Why do you think that we should turn our back and go against our agreement now?
Well, Ukraine and Zelensky is a very corrupt country.
Ukraine and Zelensky is a very corrupt country. And how do you saying under what is that? We have a lot of proof of previous Ukrainian like corruption. We know at one point they were, but not under the Zelensky era.
Well, Zelensky had been bombing I'm probably going to say it wrong, but the Donbass region.
No, he hasn't. That's Russian propaganda.
That for like 6 years.
That's Russian propaganda. That didn't happen.
Okay.
Even right now, When the Ukrainians are attacking inside of Russia, they refuse to hit civilian targets. They're only hitting military targets. Their largest attack that just happened was on the strategic bombing force of Russia, right?
Yeah, it took out a third of their bombing.
Yeah,
aircraft.
and how did Russia retaliate?
I don't know.
By bombing civilian targets and killing civilians in Kiev.
Oh, well, that's Ukrainian propaganda.
It's not Ukrainian propaganda. The Russians reported it.
All right. Well, we just got out of a 20-year war. We don't need to be getting back into another one. The American people are tired of war.
And I completely agree, sir. And that is why it's so important that we're sending them money and arms and not American soldiers. Because if we're going to hold up to our end of the agreement, we really could, in all justification, send American soldiers. But instead of doing that, we're just sending them what amounts to about 3% of the U.S. defense budget. So literally the change that the United States budget drops on the ground as they're walking by.
Yeah, but we have our own problems here. Our national debt is ridiculous, which supporting them increase that tremendously.
No, it's not, sir. Donald Trump's ridiculous tax cuts for the rich is what's doing that. That's why right now Donald Trump is about to add $4 trillion more to the national debt by giving huge tax cuts to the richest people. He's giving like $1 trillion in tax cuts to the richest people. Okay. That entire amount to Ukraine, like added up to like 100 billion or something like that in actual like cash.
My understanding is that his plan is for them to have the tax cuts so that they build American manufacturing here at home.
Yes, sir. That's called trickle-down economics, and it has never worked. Not once, not never, not in ever has it ever worked.
All right.
Yeah. But anyway, sir,
Well,
I'm going to move on to the next caller, but I really hope you have a wonderful day.
All right.
Bye-bye. Yeah, he was a nice enough guy. Sonny, thank you so much for the super chat. Sonny said, keep educating, aiding, and never we stop. Sorry, I don't know what you're trying to say there, Sonny, but thank you. I appreciate it. And Shay, thank you so much for the super chat. Shay says, Kamala is black. What's the issue? I don't know. I don't know why a bunch of white people always want to tell me whether Kamala Harris was black or not. It's very, very weird. But hey. Y'all, if you guys would like support, I do have super chats open and super gifts and all that sort of fun stuff. So if you guys like support, that's a great way to do it. I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much. Also, if you guys are on the TikTok, you like support, I'm still trying to get my subscribers back up. I'm about to drop under 200 and get sad. So I'm getting YouTube members, and I just started over here. So I really appreciate that. So I'd really appreciate you helping out there. Also, I do the little pause too. That's a great way to help support. And as always, I do have my pay links in the bio. They're all at Polypolitics, just like my name. So if you like support, any of those ways are great, and I really appreciate you guys being here. Y'all, make sure if you guys are on the TikTok side, you hit that follow button. If you're on the YouTube side, you go up, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I do this every single day, so I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
I'm 23 years old.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Shay, thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. That really meant a lot to me. Thank you so much. I don't know why a bunch of white dudes want to tell me who's black. It's very strange. Anyways, all right. So why do you support Trump?
I support Trump. Well, more Trump stances because of the Second Amendment.
All right. What has been the most
that's one of the main things that are being attacked in America right now and have been for a while, and nobody's done anything about it. And the left really isn't that very fond of firearms to begin with.
Awesome, sir. What's been the most restrictive ban on the Second Amendment in the last 15 years?
Well, I'll start off for one, sir. By the way, what's your name?
My name is Paulie. Can you just answer the question?
Yeah, I'll answer the question. So the biggest thing is suppressors. I don't know if you would mind telling me why they're so dangerous and why I need to pay
I'm sorry.
tax stamp.
What legislation was that?
What's that?
What legislation was that?
No, they're rulings made by the ATF, which the left likes to support a lot.
That's the rulings made by the ATF. I'm asking you what presidential policy, what federal legislation was the largest restriction against the Second Amendment in the last 15 years. And there is not, and let me give you a hint, there has been zero legislation on suppressors.
Yes, there has. I can't go to the gun store and get one without a $200 tax stamp, without paying $200 for a right.
Okay, sir. I'm going to go ahead and answer the question for you because you obviously don't know. Okay?
It's you don't want to have. I'll pay you if that's what you want. If that's what motivates you to keep the conversation going.
No, sir. I'm just waiting for you to answer the question. You're not answering the question.
It seems like you're not being a very good host, and I say that with all
sir,
due
you can
respect.
either whine about it or you can answer my question. I really don't care either way.
I am answering your question, but you can't
what
answer me.
piece of legislation
for a right that we have?
Okay, sir.
Under the Constitution.
What piece of legislation has been the largest ban on 2A in the last 15 years?
Well, there's one way longer than that, and that's on machine guns. That was
awesome,
around the
but I'm not
70s.
asking about way longer ago. I'm asking about within the last 15 years.
If there wouldn't be a legislation against it, then why do I need to pay $200 for it?
All right, awesome. Well, the largest piece of legislation in the last 15 years, the largest piece of legislation in the
why can't I just go to a gun shop and buy
the largest piece of legislation
suppressor and I have to pay $200
that's fine,
for a
sir.
right that I have?
Sir, the largest piece of legislation was the bump stock ban, and you know who signed that into law?
Yes, I know who.
Who was that?
Yes. I know who, and you know who.
Then who was it?
You haven't answered my question. I answered your question, and you can't answer mine.
No, sir. I answered my question. You did not answer my question. I asked you the question 3 times. You refused to answer it. So I answered my own question. Okay. And now I'm asking you another question.
You know what it is.
Now I'm asking you another question. And the second question is, who signed that into law?
But other attacks.
Sir, I would love to actually have a 2A conversation with you, but you are going to have to stick with the conversation and actually converse with me. If not, I will gladly.
I'll pay you $100 right now.
All right. You obviously don't have the ability to do that. I have no problem having a 2A conversation with you, but I am not going to listen to you be a petulant child, okay? Grow up a little bit. Maybe have the maturity level of someone who's old enough to actually have a gun. Hello, welcome to the live. How are you today?
Hey, kitty boy.
Hello, welcome to the live. How are you? Hello, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Do you support Trump?
I'm sorry. Say again?
Do you support Trump?
Yes, but there's a caveat that I'm pretty much the type that I salute the rank, not the man. So I supported Trump, supported Biden, supported Obama.
Awesome. So if Schmittler became the president next, you would support him too?
Say again?
So if the next Schmittler became the president also, you would support him too?
Yeah. Knowing what he did and what he was going to do going forward, no, definitely not.
No, but sir, you're saluting the rank, not the person. So you'd have to support him, right?
No, at that point, I wouldn't.
Gotcha, sir.
Because
so we don't.
That's because I could predict the future at that point.
Yeah, but sir, that completely takes away your point right there. Okay, we don't salute. We don't just support someone blindly because they hold a position. Okay, we have been very harsh on lots of presidents throughout our time. Right? Freaking, everybody got so mad at Nixon they made him quit and jump on a helicopter and fly away. Okay. These are our elected officials. It's their job to represent us and what's best for the United States. So it's not our job to support them regardless of what they do just because they're the president.
I wasn't saying that. I wasn't saying that.
Yes, sir. But that's what I'm asking you. Why are you supporting someone who is doing things that are negative to the United States?
Okay. I'm supporting someone that I want for them to do what's best for the United States. There are certain things that Donald Trump has done that I don't support.
Yes, sir. I would love it if Trump would also start doing what's best for the United States. The problem is he's not doing that. So therefore, I'm not supporting it.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I'm not arguing against that, but you asked me.
Yeah, I'm asking if you support him. You said yes. So I'm waiting for why you support him.
Okay, I'm supporting him just like I supported Biden and I supported Obama because I want them to do what's best for the United States. That doesn't mean I'm going to agree with every policy that they do.
Okay. Well, I'm going to allow you to go ahead and just keep blindly supporting and have a wonderful day. All right.
Oh,
All right. We already went through that part of the conversation. I don't really have too much of a will to keep going. Just circle. All right. Phone lines are open back up if you'd like to have a chat. How long have I been on? About an hour and 45. Well, we're going to keep this going for at least a little bit if we can get a good conversation going on. Thank you guys so much for the pause, too. Oh, need one more down there. I appreciate it. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
You stupid nigger.
All right. Apparently you're not doing very well on this Tuesday. Hi, how are you today? Hello. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today? That's what I forgot at the store. Don't you just hate that when you get home from the store and just like right after you're like, man, I knew I forgot something. That's so annoying. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
Hey, so I don't really care about arguing. I just wanted to say that your style of arguing, how condescending and sarcastic you are and interrupting.
All right. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
Doing good.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. How old are you?
37.
Awesome. So why do you support Trump?
I support the immigration thing he's doing. What else? The things that he's doing with the economy. I support that.
All right. What that he's doing with the economy do you support?
Well, the tax cuts I think are good. I understand like the whole Elon thing about, the deficit and all of that. But I mean, I think mostly the immigration thing, I really support that, what he's doing. I mean, I think that people should come correctly to this country. I'm a child of immigrants.
Yeah, everyone believes that, sir. That's not a Trump policy.
Huh?
Everyone believes that. That's not a Trump policy.
No, but you asked my opinion. I'm saying people should come correctly.
Yeah, sir. But I'm not just asking your opinion on all that. That's not a Trump policy. People should come correctly is a policy under the Biden administration. It's a policy under the Obama administration.
They didn't under Biden. 20 million illegals came. So
that's not true. 20 million people showed up at the border, which that number's not even correct.
20 million illegals came in.
No, actually, the estimates are about 1.6 million.
No, it's not 1.6. But
I can pull it up, sir, if you need it. I can pull it up if you need. Sir, I can pull up. Sir, I can pull up the number if you like. Is that better for you?
I mean, it's 20 million. I mean, it's.
Yeah, that's a number of border encounters, sir.
But I have a question, though.
Sir, hold on. No, sir. I don't want to move on to your question. We're still talking about the original thing.
No, but you keep interrupting me, though. Can I talk at some point?
Sure, at some point. That is a number of border encounters, not people that were allowed in the country. Do you know what a border encounter is, sir?
Okay, but the CBP app that your president, Mr. Biden, your best friend, your bosom buddy, allowed them to come in. And they came in with the CBP app and waited for asylum. And they do not meet the UN criteria for asylum. The UN criteria for asylum says that you have to be in a country that's not safe. The U.S., Canada, and Mexico have the safe third country agreement. If somebody crosses one of these borders, they're supposed to claim asylum in the first country between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico that they enter.
Okay.
So all of these people who crossed through Mexico should have claimed asylum in Mexico, which they did not.
All right. Well, let's start with the CBP one. Who started the CBP one app?
Biden.
Wrong. That was invented under the Trump, invented and implemented under the Trump administration in his first term. Let's start there. Second of all, no. You know, no. Second of all, what guides U.S. asylum law?
International law, of course, but then we have the agreement with Mexico, Canada, and the U.S., which is called the Safe Third Country Agreement, which means that if you come from a safe country, which most of these people came from, considered a safe country by UN standards, safe country.
That is also wrong. It's 8 U.S. Code 11. It's 8 U.S. Code 1150. It's 8 U.S. Code 1158. Up. Stop.
Agreement. The safe
8
third country agreement
U.S.
still exists.
I'm sorry. Is the Safe Country Agreement U.S. law or is 8 U.S. Code 1158 U.S. law? Which one is it?
But it's still that's U.S. law too because we
Oh, it
signed
is.
it. Yes, it is.
Oh,
Safe
it's not a
country
it's
treaty,
not
it
a
is.
treaty. It's
It is
law.
a treaty between U.S., Canada,
Oh,
and
so
Mexico.
is it a treaty or is it law? Which one is it? I'm sorry.
It is a treaty that was ratified into law by the U.S.
It was ratified in the law.
Canada,
Oh,
and
awesome. Can you
Mexico.
show me under where that was ratified into law?
I can show you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Safe Third Country Agreement. It is.
No, agreement.
Like you're saying.
No,
like
sir.
these people-
See, you've called it law, treaty, and an agreement all in like
But
all
a
separately.
treaty that
Those
was
are
signed
those
into
are
law by the
three
president.
those are three different things.
Signed into law by president.
Yeah. Who else has to
What?
sign a law, sir?
It is an international treaty. President signs
I
international
didn't ask you that,
treaties,
sir. I asked you who else has to sign
Don't
a
they?
U.S. law.
Don't they? I mean, you.
Okay, it's
I mean, I
fine,
know
sir.
you're for immigrant
It's fine,
and
sir.
all the immigrants-
Sir, it's fine. I'll answer the question for you. It's Congress, all right? Laws are passed by Congress.
know
Laws
Congress,
are
but
passed. Laws are passed by the legislative branch. Sir, I'm speaking. Laws are passed by the legislative
Yeah, but
branch,
you
and so the
interrupt me, so
law,
what's the difference?
the law for asylum is 8 U.S. Code 1158. Okay, that is the law
But also
that
the
courts have to
Safe
go
Third
about,
Country
and that's the
Agreement-
law
Better
that
refugees.
CBP has to follow. Okay, that's the law. Okay, and in
But
that
they also
law,
have to follow
in
international
that
law,
law,
the Geneva
in that
Convention
law,
is also international law.
and
that's
that
also
law,
followed too.
yeah, we can make laws. We can do whatever with our own laws. Okay, we're fine. All right.
Yeah, but
Those
there's
laws
also a
say
law
not
called the
only
Safe
do you
Third
not have
Country
to stop
Agreement.
at the first country, but you also don't have to come through a port of entry, and that's the law we follow.
Yes, you do. That is a thing.
No, we don't. I'll put the
Mexico-
law if you want.
You're talking about asylum. You're saying that these people, all of these people, are refugees. A refugee is somebody who fears for their actual life, an
A
actual threat.
refugee and an asylum
Not
seeker are not the same thing.
Actual threat. I'm still talking.
A refugee and
An
asylum
actual
seeker are not the same
threat,
thing.
An actual threat of somebody else attacking them. Just because there's violence.
That's
there's
great,
violence
sir.
in
We're
Haiti.
talking about asylum seekers, not
There's violence in
refugees.
There's violence in Haiti.
Sir,
The Haitians don't all come here. They get deported.
Actually, Haitians
Like,
are refugees.
But they get a lot of them get deported too.
But we're
So
not talking about
what is it-
refugees, sir. We're talking
what
about
is it
asylum
we were
seekers.
that's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
So
no,
what is
refugees
the
and
difference
asylum seekers
between
are
people
two
who
different
are
people.
The closest people. So can I ask
Sir,
you a question?
can you please
The
keep
closest
up with the
people-
conversation? I'd really
I
like
am keeping
to.
up with the conversation. I
Asylum
am.
seekers and refugees are two different people.
People who are seeking asylum from their country because they're saying that they flee for their life. That's what it is.
Yes, that is one of the reasons why asylum seekers come, but
Okay.
why
What do you
asylum
mean that's
seekers
the
are
only
not
reason? What are you talking
refugees.
about? That's the only reason.
No, there's not. It's not at
What
all.
other reasons are there?
Again, I would like to refer you to 8 U.S. Code 1158, which talks about all of this. Would you like me to read it for you?
Political
Maybe put it on the screen? Would that be helpful for you?
The protection granted by a nation for someone who's left their country as a native political refugee.
Okay.
What other reason?
I'll put it on the
seeking
screen. That's
asylum?
fine. Do-do-do. That's easy. I haven't done this in a while. Any alien who is
Yeah, but
physically
can I
present in the
answer
United
my
States.
question? You're just
Any
saying
alien
that,
who
but
is physically present in the United States or who arrives in the United States, whether at a designated port of arrival, and including an alien who is brought to the United States after being interdicted in international or United States waters, irrespective of an alias status, may apply for asylum in accordance with this section or when applicable in Section 1225B of this title. Eligibility: the Secretary of Homeland Security and the Attorney General may grant asylum to an alien who has applied for asylum in accordance with the requirements and procedures established by the Secretary of Homeland Security or the Attorney General under this section of the Secretary of Homeland Security or Attorney General determines such an alien is a refugee with the meaning of the section 1101A of this title. Burden of proof. In general, the burden of proof is on the applicant to establish the applicant is a refugee with the meaning of this section 1101A 42A of this title. To establish the applicant is a refugee within the meaning of this section, the applicant must establish that race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion was or will be or at least one central reason for persecuting the applicant.
Okay, see, persecution, though. You just said persecution. So, that being the case, wait, what happened? What happened? I got muted or something. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, I got muted or something like that. So, what I was saying, you said that they have to face some persecutions, which you said in that law, in that definition, right? So, being in a country where you're getting paid $5 an hour and working as a laborer, that's not persecution. The cartel, it has to be a specific threat of persecution. It can't just be, I'm leaving this because there's violence, because there's violence everywhere. And by the way, it's not fair for the people who are closest to this country to just be able to waltz on in, while the people who came from Africa, there's a lot of African people who are dealing with a lot of crap that don't have the proximity to do all of that.
Yes, sir. And that is why many people that showed up to the
sense.
border, sir, that is why many people that showed up to the border seeking asylum were not allowed in the country because they didn't meet the qualification
But a
under
lot
this
of them
law.
were allowed in.
Yes, sir. But you're saying, sir,
the immigration bill,
sir, I was still in the middle of a sentence there. Sir, it's okay. You can have some self-control here. It's okay, sir. What I said was,
why didn't the Democrats pass it when they had the majority? Why didn't they?
Sir, I'm in the middle of a sentence.
Plus Kamala. Why didn't they pass it?
5.
Why
There
didn't
we
they pass
go.
it?
Oh. Yes, sir. What you said is that people can come over here just because they were getting paid too little and stuff like that. That is not true because those people that showed up.
What?
I will hang up the phone on you if you cut me off on one more sentence.
I didn't say paid.
Okay.
I didn't say paid.
There are plenty of reasons why people tried to come over to this country to seek asylum that were not able to get into this country. That's why almost 40% of people that try to seek asylum in this country were turned around. So you're right. Just because someone has these specific things going on in their life does not mean that they are necessarily able to seek asylum in this country. You're right. They're not. And they weren't able to. That's what the law says.
They were able to with the CBP app. There was multiple reportings about it. They were able to come in.
Yes, sir. The people that were approved were able to come in. The people that were not approved were not able to come in. Yeah, the CBP app wasn't like a magical little thing that got you approved for asylum. That was just able to see if your asylum case was being approved. The reason why the CBP app actually existed was for only one reason, and that reason was we didn't have enough Border Patrol agents to be able to handle all the asylum seekers that were showing up at the border. So they were able to use the CBP One app to be able to apply for asylum. That way, when they showed up at the border, all of their paperwork was already in order. They already were accepted if they were accepted. Okay, they were already accepted in. That was able to streamline the streamline CBP. Okay, so that Border Patrol had less work, so that they could concentrate more on things like, stopping people at the border that were, bringing in drugs and other things like that.
So at a certain point, though, the CBP app was not working under Biden. You do recognize that, right?
What do you mean it wasn't working?
It was not working.
What do you mean it's not working?
There was a certain point under Biden's administration towards the end, late 2023, early 2024, where the CBP app was not working and people were just allowed to come in.
That's not true.
While their asylum was being processed.
While their asylum was being processed. Yes, that's what the app was for. That's for it working. That's it working.
Where it would give them an error and they would come in.
No.
I mean, this is reported on even your beloved CNN. It was reported.
Sir, I don't watch CNN, and you can go ahead and show me where that reporting is. That's fine.
Okay, I can.
Okay.
So, I mean,
by the way, I don't know where you guys, literally, you guys really do need to turn off Fox News every once in a while. I don't know how
I don't watch Fox News.
Yes, you do.
I don't watch Fox News.
I don't know why.
I actually watch the news that you watch, which is your president.
I don't watch the news.
So, your president's
I don't watch the news. Whoever has convinced you guys that the left watches CNN, okay, is lying to you like a lot.
I don't have to because
they're lying. Sir, why are you hollering? Why are you hollering?
I'm not hollering and you're deflecting.
Okay, no. Nobody watches CNN. It's literally one of the least watched fucking news agencies out there. No, literally, almost no one. I'm assuming some old people.
Nobody watches it. 1.something million people watch it though. Still. So,
yeah, that would make it less than MSNBC.
But they were watching it before. So, I mean, apparently...
There was slavery before. Doesn't mean anyone's watching it anymore.
That's a false equivalency, though. Slavery,
yeah, no, just because something happened before doesn't mean it's happening now.
Okay, so say that. Don't talk about slavery. That has nothing to do...
I will talk about whatever I want on my live, actually.
That has nothing to do with slavery. You're making an example that doesn't have an example to do with anything else.
Yeah, it was actually a very good example. Anyways, do you have anything of actually? Do you have anything of actual intelligence to actually say? Because this is getting boring.
Oh, okay. I mean, I do. You said why I like Trump, right? He's actually competent, and he was not being joked on for his intelligence like Biden was. Since the whole 2020 that
He literally reads at
his
he really
cognitive
speaks at a
decline and
fourth
all
grade
that other
level.
stuff.
He gets made fun of all the
Oh,
time.
am I still talking?
What's a
You're talking.
Tesla?
I can't speak. Can I
What's a
speak?
Tesla?
Okay. So anyway, people in Australia were talking about how this man, your beloved Biden, who's bald.
Sure, no one cares about Biden. Are you done yet?
Your Biden that you're bald, who you suck his balls. So that man.
Hey, here's
bosom buddy.
here's the funny thing. It's very awesome. No matter what, if you talk to a Trump supporter for long enough, they will bring up male genitalia. It's a very weird kink thing they have, where if you just talk to like Trump supporters like for long enough, just male genitalia just starts spewing out of their. I don't know why that happens, but it just always happens. But anyways, I'll let you go enjoy your little fantasies about genitalia. I don't think I need to be a part of that. I don't really want to be in that any longer. All right, chum. All right, we're going to keep moving on. We're going to move on to the next guest, keep this thing going, see if we can get somebody actually interesting in here. That was kind of annoying. We've been on for right about 2 hours. I don't know how on TikTok we're not at 100,000 likes yet. That's pretty crazy. Can we go ahead and get there? Also, y'all, no matter which side you're on, if you guys love me, hate me, it doesn't freaking matter. If you're enjoying the show, enjoying the conversation, make sure you guys either follow if you're on TikTok or hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. We do this every single day and we have a lot of fun. Do I have a live goal? No, I do have my pay links all in my bio. They're all at Polypolitics. I don't have any live goal or anything, but if you'd like support, they all are there. They are all there. They're all at Polypolitics. Also, if you'd like support on YouTube, I do have super chats, super gifts, all that fun stuff going on. I'm negative 11 subscribers in this live on TikTok. That's pretty impressive. I'm somehow negative 11 subscribers. So if you'd like support, that'd be a great way to help out too. Because that just got to a negative somehow. That was impressive. I started at 201. I'm at 190 now. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
I'm 43.
43. Do you support Trump?
No, not really. Not at all.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate it, man. I'm only looking for Trump supporters right now, but I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, welcome to the live. How are you today?
Well, I started. Yeah, sorry. You there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
Well, I was the guy that you hung up on a while ago when
Oh, okay. Well, then you should be used to that. Danielle, thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate that. At least you were used to it. Guys, I don't talk to the same people at the same night. Like, if I've already talked to you, don't call back again. I don't want to talk to you again. To call back tomorrow. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
I'm good. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing excellent. Do you support Trump?
Absolutely not. I'm a unionist. I'm 52 years old. Hopefully you allow me on to have a different perspective. It's my first time watching this, listening to the show, and I subscribed immediately. This voice needs to go out there, and I like that you're flooding Trump fans with facts.
I do really appreciate that, sir, and thank you so much for the compliment. That really is nice. But I am only looking for Trump supporters right now because I'm looking to have some, opposing views. But I do appreciate it. I hope you have a great day.
Can I just give you one thing?
You have a very short amount of time to do so.
No problem. Please, when you talk to these people about immigration and their talk, because I'm a black man, I'd like to throw that in there. But when you get people talking about immigration and all the crime they're doing, I need them to understand what they're saying, because the immigrants aren't doing as much crime as Americans. This is the same argument you give when you tell black people, what about black on black crime? What about American on American crime? And I leave that little stick for you. Use it as well. Enjoy yourself, young brother.
What's your name, brother?
Tawan Bradley.
I'm sorry, what was the first name?
Tawan, Tiwaan Bradley.
Tawan, perfect. Hey, can we get big W's in the chat for Tawan? That is Beautifully said. Can we get big W's in that? Maybe a little preach for him. I really appreciate that, brother. You have a good one, all right, man? I hit the nail on the head. All right, man. Yeah, big W's in the chat for that. Norma, thank you so much for the $25 Venmo. It says towards the live goal that you don't have. That's okay. You just hit it. You just hit it. That was my live goal now. You win. You got the whole thing. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Christine, thank you so much for the gifted sub. I appreciate that. Now I'm only -9 for the day. That makes me feel like slightly better. Thank you so much for the gifted sub. I appreciate that. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today? Oh, I didn't answer the phone first. Sorry. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm doing well. Did you vote for Trump?
I sure did.
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm sorry. What was that? You broke up.
How old are you?
I'm 43.
Awesome. Why do you support Trump?
Well, most of all, he, my whole life, I don't know how old you are, but my whole life, Trump has been in it, and he's always been a positive figure. I remember him on 9/11. He was there at Ground Zero helping out. He was in movies like The Little Rascal,
movies.
Home Alone 2, things like that. He was always in my life. He was always doing positive things. He did do a commercial at Pizza Hut where he ate the pizza backwards, which I don't really appreciate because you should not eat pizza backwards. But he did do a commercial with Pizza Hut, things along that line. So I think I think at one point in time he was called the Prince of New York. Him and his family pretty much built the skyline there. There was at one point in time in this country where people like him were admired and revered.
Well, at least that was kind of a funny troll. I will say that much. I will say that was at least a funny troll. At least I got a giggle out of it. That's really fun. Again, yeah, if you guys are on the YouTube side, you guys would like to send super chats or something like that to help support, I really appreciate it. I will put them up on the screen and have a conversation about them. Just like this person who just said, yeah, that's just him being in movies and stuff. Yeah, that's not really a positive. Yeah. Bill Cosby was also in movies or shows like on TV. Yeah. Not exactly a judgment for how good somebody is. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today? Thank you so much.
I'm well, and yourself?
Good. How old are you?
I'm 40.
All right, awesome. Do you support Trump?
I do.
Awesome. Why is that?
Well, mostly, I'd like to point out earlier you had spoke with that one caller, and he kind of showed you that you supported slavery, and then your rebuttal to it was that America has slavery, but the last caller you were just on the phone with, you said America used to have slavery. You kind of did a Freudian slip.
No, I didn't.
And admitted that.
But thank you for being a
America
fan,
doesn't
because
actually have
that
slavery
conversation
today.
was 2 hours ago, and you're still here, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, you do good stuff, man. I enjoy it. It's just it's kind of fun.
We used to have
listening you.
slavery. We still do. You ever watch Mitch Hedberg?
The comedian?
Yeah, he's dead now, but you remember him?
Yeah, he does the dun 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 dun. He does the bass in the background.
Yeah, he's like the bass and stuff like that. He had an old joke. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Yeah, it said, I used to do drugs.
Uh-huh.
I still do, but I used to too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So saying that we used to have slavery, as referring to chattel slavery, doesn't mean that we still don't have slavery in the form of the prison system. You can have both.
Oh.
Yeah. It wasn't a Freudian slip.
Well,
You're fine.
what do you think? What do you think the punishment for like murder should be? Should they just sit in a cell all day and not produce anything and just live off of the American dollar?
Are you saying in like a perfect world or in this one?
I'm saying, I mean, what do you think ought?
I'm asking, are you talking about in like a utopian universe that doesn't exist or reality? By the way, just me, thank you so much for the gifted membership on YouTube. I don't know who got that, but if you are, put a W in the chat. I want to see who my new member is. That's awesome. And just me, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm asking if you mean in do you understand what I'm asking you? I'm asking about if you mean in a utopian world or in like a real world.
Well, in a utopian world, murder wouldn't exist. So I guess I'm asking you,
Sure.
like, what do you think? If you don't agree with like the the result of murder laws today, what would you change about them?
Well, sir, the problem with that is that you don't just have people that committed like a crime of unaliving someone that are the people that are being used as slave labor in this country. You could be used as slave labor for very minimal crimes in this country. Well, not minimal, but I'm not going to say the ranking of crimes.
Yeah, but
what
mean,
I'm saying is
but
you're
let's
jumping
say,
to you're jumping to the
let's say you're
extreme
serving
of
a
something.
year in jail. Let's say you're serving a year in jail for, I don't know, robbing a convenience store.
Sure.
Like, so you think that that person should just sit in jail and not produce and give back to the community that he stole from? You don't think that servitude, not necessarily slavery, but paid servitude is a good thing?
No, absolutely not. I don't agree with that. Well, first of all,
You don't think that could be part of rehabilitation?
No, sir. Well, first of all, I believe that that most of these companies are making money for other people. They're not actually giving back to their communities, right? Because if they were making,
we're not talking about that though. We're not talking about that.
But we are, sir. Like we are talking about that because that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about slavery within our prison system. These people are actually making money and making products that companies are selling or the state is selling. You know, things like that,
but
right?
Aren't those prisons producing a service for us?
They're producing a commodity for us.
Right?
Okay.
They're getting the bad guys off the street, right?
The prison system isn't getting the bad guys off the street. Our court system gets the bad people off the street. They're just the cage in which they keep them.
At? What's the storage facility that we call for bad people?
Yeah, sir. Can I finish my first point before we move on to another one? Because I was in the middle of a point when you stopped me to ask me that question.
Well, if your point is we have slaves, I mean that
was not my point, sir. But I would like to get to my point if you don't mind.
I think that is your point: is that America has slaves, and I think
that was a point I made 2 hours ago. So I really don't need to get back to that one.
You yourself admitted that we don't have.
Sir,
slaves
I'm either going to finish my point or I'm
yourself.
hanging up on you, and I will finish it one way or the other.
All
Which
right.
way is it going to be?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, awesome. You're making this thing whereas if the people are working in order to give back to their communities, and I've seen things like community service that we have in many places, and I don't really have a huge problem with that, right? People picking up, trash on the side of the streets or something like that, things they're giving back to their community, okay? But when you're having people actually commit a forced labor act, that is slavery under pretty much every definition of the sort, right? But no, I don't believe that. I believe that the best thing that we can do for the community while people are in prison is actually to rehabilitate them, right? Is to actually give them the skills that they need to live on the outside. So if somebody's in prison for robbing a convenience store and we can give them a skill, right, in order to go work and actually, have a hard-earned living, where not every single person is going to take advantage of that. There are a certain amount that can, which will, in the long run decrease the recidivism rate, right? And that actually helps the community and the person altogether. Because I think when we have healthy people and a healthy, society that doesn't have to worry about things like crime, then I think it helps both sides, right?
Yeah, but so in prison, they have a choice to do this stuff. If you understand that, right? Have you ever been to prison or know anything about prison?
I have not been to prison.
It's actually a privilege. It's a privilege for them to get jobs.
Yes,
Part of the rehabilitation process, they have to go through certain stages.
Yes, sir.
So,
and I have no problem with them getting jobs, and they should get paid a fair wage for that job.
Well, I mean, they do for a prisoner. They make about $2. I think California prisoners make like $2.25 an hour. Some of them make upwards of $3-4 an hour. But don't forget, their room and board is 100% paid for. They get 3 hots and a cot every single day.
Yeah, so does your military, but they get paid a fair wage.
Do what?
So does the military, but you still get fair wage.
Yeah, but I didn't kill somebody to enlist in the military. I didn't.
No, you killed someone once you were there.
Military. Do what?
No, you killed someone once you were there.
I killed somebody once.
Maybe not you specifically, but that is the job of the military.
No, I disagree with that.
I'm sorry, what?
I think the majority of the military is for humanitarian aid. In fact, I mean,
what were you in the Coast Guard?
How many MOSs does the Army have, and how many of them are combat MOSs? Only about 10% are combat MOSs. There's veterinarians in the Army.
Yeah. The 10% that are combat are supported by the 90%.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Yeah. So you have 10% of people that are combat.
They're more for humanitarian.
Yeah. You have 10%.
US Army, for instance, does more humanitarian work around the world than they do wars, technically.
Then why do we even need a military? Why don't we just have the Red Cross and the Civil Air Patrol?
Well, you mean from a federal sense? I could kind of agree with you on that. I think
I even have one.
National Guards. I think we should reduce the federal government by tremendously, and sort of reduce the size of our active duty military.
Yeah, we should just get rid
it.
of it, right? And since we don't need. I mean, pretty much the whole point of it is just just humanitarian aid, like you said, right? So we don't even really need a military. We should just just have a bunch of nuns handing out Band-Aids and candy to everybody.
Well, I mean, if your idea is that the military just kills people, wouldn't you agree that nuns handing out candy to everybody would be better?
Sir, the entire purpose of the military is to kill people. That's what I'm saying.
To kill people?
Yes, that is the purpose of it. Now, they do other things, right? They do, you have like the Army Corps of Engineers, which builds stuff. That's awesome. You have humanitarian things, all sorts of stuff.
You said that, bro. That's the most insane thing I think I've ever heard somebody just say on YouTube, that the military's just here to kill people.
No, I said that's their primary job.
No, you said at first that they're just here to kill people.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. I mean, you're going to post the
You
video
probably
later,
didn't hear it because you were too busy talking.
No, I did definitely hear you say that,
but sir, that
so you
is the
defended-
purpose
so
of the
today, so far
military.
on your live
okay?
stream, so far on your live stream, you've defended slavery today.
No,
and
I
you said
haven't.
the
Are you the
military's
same
only
guest
job
from
is to
2
kill
hours
people.
ago? Because you sound a lot like him.
No.
Did you
I
stick
was
around for
listening
2 hours
I
to
was
fucking
listening
whine?
to that. I was listening to that guy 2
All right.
hours ago, and he was making a lot of good points.
Well, that probably does make sense to your
America shouldn't do
mindset, but
business.
sir,
I never
sir,
looked at it that
sir,
way, to be
please stop
honest with you,
talking.
that China does use
Sir,
slave
please stop
labor.
talking.
Are you going to defend slave labor again?
Sir, I never defended slave labor.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. And I'm not going to repeat
Yeah,
the
you did.
entire conversation that I had with him earlier, okay? So you already heard it, so I don't know why you're coming up here just trying to have the exact same conversation.
Well, at first I was just
Okay.
pointing out that you contradicted yourself, because later on you said that we don't have slaves anymore. And now that you've been called out, you're kind of deflecting
5,
and acting like a child.
4, 3, 2, 1. I don't know how that works so well on MAGA. You guys are literally like preschoolers. All I have to do is count to 5, and you guys are quiet every single time. I don't know how it works. Like, that is impressive. The exact same tactic that works on kindergartners works on you guys almost every single time. It is so fucking impressive. I don't know how that even works. I was in no way defending slave labor. What I was saying was that Donald Trump is not trying to stop slave labor, because if his intent was to stop slave labor, because if his intent was to stop slave labor, then he would just put tariffs on and leave them there. Okay? It's not that simple. I'm not agreeing in any way with the slave labor. Actually, in that first guess, which again I can put up there, I suppose he actually said, "Can you please say out loud that you condemn slave labor?" And I said, "I condemn slave labor." I said, "I condemn slavery." I said both of those things actually in that conversation when he asked me to. Okay, but Donald Trump isn't trying to stop slave labor. He's in no way trying to do that. Okay. But it is quite funny how MAGA gets like real quiet when I do that. I don't know. I don't know why that works so well. It's almost disturbing that it works so well. It's like they just revert right back to children. It was the same guy. I know. He was acting the same way the first time. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
Doing good.
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 24.
Awesome. You support Trump?
Not anymore.
Okay, well, I'm only looking for people who supports Trump, so I do appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
I'm 18 years old. I'm a registered Turning Point USA member.
Yeah, awesome. What year were you born?
I was...
Ouch. That must hurt. Charlie Kirk would be so proud of you. You and Charlie Kirk would be a war. Well, apparently he's sending his minions after me. If you guys aren't familiar with Turning Point USA, that's Charlie Kirk's organization. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today?
We'll see.
Hi, how old are you?
condescending guy, and don't let people speak when it's their.
All right. Well, see how quickly you stopped speaking? Yeah, I don't know. That was wild. Yeah, that was wild. Like, freaking Charlie Kirk's apparently sending his people after me. I didn't know that it was like a whole thing like this over here, but that's just wild. I would hope, but I actually really do truly believe that that was one of Charlie Kirk's minions because he couldn't make up a year very quickly. So that was pretty funny. Hello, how are you?
If you're gay, stay in the stream.
Did he say I'm gay, stay on the stream? Is he coming back to hit on me? That was weird. Hello, welcome to live. How are you?
I'm not one of Charlie Kirk's minions. I don't even know who the heck he is.
Huh?
You said I was.
Who are you?
To let people talk. You said I'm one of Charlie.
Oh yeah,
Kirk's
no, I
minions.
just didn't want to hear you just come up here whining. That just wasn't. I wasn't in the mood for
Well, no,
that.
I
but
mean,
thank
that's
you.
what you've been
I
doing
was
this entire
talking about the child that called and literally said he's part of Turning Point, not you. Hi, welcome to the live. How are you today? Hello. Hello, welcome to the live. How are you today? Hello.
Yo,
Hello, how are you today?
good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Did you vote for Trump?
Yeah. That's why I wanted to get on and be like, why do you have a live stream where you just shitting on America? Why do you hate it so much?
I love my country more than anything. That's why I do this.
No, it doesn't seem like you do. That's not how it comes off. You just bashing the
I don't
right.
care how it comes off to you.
The left and right.
I don't really care how it comes off to you. Why do you support Trump?
Talk about that.
Oh. Thank you so much for the Polaris. Matt Polaris. I really appreciate that, Big T. Thank you so much. Oh, after that. That's cool. That's like I like that one. That's pretty cute. I don't know. Maybe I'll see if there's anybody on TikTok. Let's see. Who's on TikTok over here? We'll take one more over here for a second. Hello.
Hi, is this the live stream?
Yes, it is. How old are you?
Oh my God, no, definitely. It's just I'm not from TPUSA or anything. It's just I'm sorry. I'm sorry about the hate that you're getting. Seriously, that's really uncalled
Oh,
for.
don't worry about it, man.
No, definitely. It's just I'm a loyal subscriber. It's just I even posted a YouTube short of reacting to Charlie when he got called out by Kyle Kalinske. I wanted to come on and give you some support and just give you a pep talk. That's just you have a great live stream. I'll keep watching. Take it easy.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. Hey, you know what? I usually don't like when friendlies come up, but that was a nice little that was a nice little boost up right there. That was nice. Yeah, we had a real one in the house. We got a real one in the house. Let's see, who's this guy? Let's just bring this guy on real quick. There seems to be no intelligent life anywhere. Nope, not there. How long have I been on? I've been on for almost 2.5 hours. Wow. Y'all make sure if you guys hit that like and subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Also make sure you're hitting that that follow button if you're on TikTok. We do this every single day. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Hello?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm all right.
Awesome. Did you support Trump?
Hell no.
Oh, okay. Hey, man. Sorry. I wasn't looking for Trump supporters right now. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I have a question for you, though.
What's up, man?
How can you support Kamala? Kamala.
How can I support Kamala? I don't support Kamala.
Okay. No, that's all I needed.
I mean, I supported her
Not
when she
trying to
was
cut you.
running, but she's not anybody to support right now. She's just a politician.
Okay, because my question was, like, I hate Trump just as much as the next guy, but I just think I believe that she failed the people of North Carolina when Hurricane Helene hit. I believe she failed our country.
Hold on. How did she fail the people of North Carolina?
because I can send you a screenshot of where she sent $330 million overseas after the hurricane hit.
Well, yeah,
our
I would
states were
I
still
would
in
love to
emergency.
see the receipt where the vice president has ever sent a single dollar anywhere ever. Yeah, that'd be. If you can ever show me where a vice president has sent a single dollar to anyone ever in ever, then that would be great. Last time I checked, according to the Constitution, that would be Congress's job. Yeah, that'd be Congress's job. Then signed by the president. You can blame the president too, right? If you really want to. Congress appropriates the money and then it's signed by the president and then it goes over someplace. But pretty sure the vice president doesn't get the checkbook to the American taxpayer. She co-signed. She does not co-sign. I think you guys really, really like have this like weird thing where you guys like really don't understand like how little power the vice president has. Like the vice president literally has like almost no fucking power. Like people think because they're like on the ticket and they like, you know, and they're like up there and they're like near the president sometimes that they have this like power to like do. They don't have the power to do anything. Are you there? Hello, Justin. Are you there? Hello.
I'm here. I'm looking for the screenshot. I have it saved.
So what is this receipt? What do you mean a receipt?
The receipt is where she posts on Twitter about how $330 million goes over to Ukraine.
Twitter. Wow.
Hey, her fucking Twitter.
Her fucking
wow.
Twitter. Sir, she
Her
can
Twitter
put
account.
that she sent $100 trillion to Sasquatch research. I think if we send money, we like when we appropriate money to other countries, we have legislation that does that, like in the form of appropriations bills. How about you use that as a receipt and then show me where Kamala Harris had her name on it?
So all of this money goes overseas, but nothing is left for American devastation?
Well, actually, well before Helene hit,
That's
Secretary
what I'm saying, but shit was fucked up before Helene hit.
Yes, sir. So before Helene hit, okay, Secretary Mayorkas said that we were out of money to go to FEMA to be able to support people if it actually happened like that. And the Republicans shot down the funding, saying that we don't need to support FEMA. Okay. And then something bad happened, and then they immediately tried to refund FEMA. And luckily it passed that time. Not with the help of the Republicans, because I believe it was actually 2 Republicans in North Carolina that voted against it, along with every Republican in Florida, because that was at the exact same time that not Helene hit, but the other one hit, because it was like they were really close to each other. The one that went through like Tampa area that was really bad. Right. What was the name of that hurricane?
It was back to back.
Yeah, they were like right back to back. But literally, you know that right after that hit and they were trying to be funded by FEMA, that every single Republican in Congress in Florida, Hurricane Milton, thank you, Q, that every single Republican in Florida voted against the funding to backfill FEMA so that they could actually support those people. So, see, here's the thing, sir.
What is our solution?
Like, well, it's easy, sir. We have a lot of money. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. Sending money to help our allies does not stop us from funding FEMA, nor does stopping like money to fund FEMA like stop us from sending money to support our allies. They're completely separate, and we have the money to do both. We just have to do it.
If we did both, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Sir, I completely agree, but no Republicans voted against Ukraine funding in Congress. They had the House. Like I'm just like not saying that I'm not trying to take blame off the Democrats too, right? The Democrats voted in the Senate for the funding for Ukraine and Israel. The Republicans in the House of Representatives voted for the Ukraine and Israel funding. Right, that went, and then the money, and then the president signed off on it and went overseas, right? But then when it became money for FEMA, the Democrats in the Senate passed it. The Republicans in the House of Representatives wouldn't pass it, right? And so, like, I have to put the blame someplace. That's where it stopped. I mean, and we have that right now in the Trump administration, where we have, where we have the Republicans owning both the House. They're trying to get rid of FEMA. They're trying to dismantle FEMA right now.
I mean, FEMA's kind of a shit show, and it's been a shit show for a very long time. I almost believe that states should be handled because if you are in New England, how can you address a wildfire devastation in California? Wouldn't you think an organization in California would be better equipped to handle?
Well, that's what FEMA's for, sir. FEMA's just the
Yeah,
funding
but
side of
FEMA's
it.
a fucking joke.
No, but sir, FEMA doesn't handle the emergency. FEMA funds the emergency. Okay, so you have, if there's a fire in California, Cal Fire handles the fire. FEMA pays for that to happen, and it pays for the activation of the National Guard. It pays for outside organizations because you'll have people come down from Oregon and stuff to help fight it. That's how the funding is. It's just the funding thing, and then they pay out also to the individuals, right? They pay that first initial $750 payment, and then they have back
fucking joke.
Well, sir, that's just the standard payment for all national emergencies all the way across the board. But it's just the initial payment. It's not the whole thing. It's just the don't starve payment. That's really all it is. I don't know where you live. I live in Florida, right?
I'm from Ohio, from the Midwest.
Yeah. So I live in Florida, Hurricane Central, right? Hurricane comes and destroys my house tomorrow. Well, first of all, I'm gonna get that $750, but also all of my flood insurance is actually through FEMA. Right? It's all backed up by FEMA. So if that hurricane comes and destroys my house, FEMA's the one who's going to replace my house. Right?
You actually believe FEMA's going to replace your house?
Well, they're going to, that's who my insurance is under. They had to, because private insurance wouldn't take it up anymore. We're actually having that problem right now in Florida, that insurance premiums have gotten so high because hurricanes keep running through, climate change, because hurricanes keep coming through and destroying all sorts of stuff. So insurance rates are going up and up and up and up. And that's what was happening with flood insurance in Florida. So FEMA actually had to take that over, and you get it through specific companies, but it's all backed by FEMA. Right. And yes, they will. Not only will they do. I mean, we have receipts from, Milton for a change, Milton for an example, right? That's where people are getting those flood insurance payments out from, is from FEMA funding.
Okay. But my original point, interesting conversation I'm glad I had, but my original point is why are our options a giant douche and a turd sandwich? To go back to the South Park episode. Why is that what every election has come to?
Yeah, sir, I'm not going to say that that we always have the best representatives. Okay, I would have very much preferred it if neither Biden nor Trump were running in this next election, or running in that last election.
Right.
I completely agree with that. But if just generally as a whole, I would rather just not have 80-year-olds running the country. Just as and that's not just president, that's congressmen also, right? Congressmen and women, there's if you're running the country, but you're also pretty much considered past working age, that doesn't make any, my grandma, she'll be, or my mom
right,
will be 80 years old in November of this year.
Right.
Okay. She's been hospitalized the last few days because she had pneumonia, right? Why? Because old people get sick. More, you know what I'm saying? It's just
right.
you just get older. It just happens, I'm not saying that she's still sharp, she's still a smart woman or whatever, but we want people that are leading the country that are physically able to to do the job, and B, maybe are a little bit more in touch with how US is right now, right? I would rather see 40-something, 50-something, even 60-year-old something people running the country, right? Not 80. So on that note, I would much rather prefer not to have Biden or Trump, right? That's what I'll say. Okay. But
I agree with that.
But once you add Kamala Harris into the mix, and let's be honest, okay, you can not like some of her policies or whatever, she was significantly better than the alternatives. And I will add this in there. Would I had rather Biden dropped out earlier, we had a full primary process, seeing who was the best candidate to run for the Democratic Party. Oh, I'm just saying, I would have preferred that also. Okay, I would have 100% preferred that. I think everyone would have, right? And I'm not even going to say that I think Kamala Harris would have won if that was the primary. I'm not saying she wouldn't have. I'm not saying she would have. I'm just saying
she would have had a better shot.
Yeah, we'll see. But what I will say is, regardless, Kamala Harris was a much better candidate at the age of 60 Okay, as an attorney general, as a prosecutor, as a senator, as with experience as the vice president, she was a much better candidate than Donald Trump. And unfortunately, we weren't saying who's the best. I don't know if the best candidate for president outside of like Obama and maybe like FDR, like if we ever have the best candidate, right? But we are picking between the two candidates, and Kamala Harris was significantly better.
Unfortunately. See, I liked a lot of Bernie Sanders policies, a lot of Bernie Sanders ideas.
Yeah, I'm not gonna even talk shit because, like I said, I'm a little bit of a Bernie bro too. I like a lot of his ideas also, and it's a shame that he didn't get to show us what he had as president. But that's the Democratic Party being two in their own way, which they do tend to do quite often, is get in their own fucking way.
We deserve health care at the very fucking least.
I could not agree more with you, sir.
And a better education.
I could not agree with you more, sir. How out of 33 developed nations on this planet, we're the only one who hasn't figured out fucking universal health care is astonishing.
Right. I got one question for him and let somebody else come up. Okay, so I'm a father of 2 kids. When I was I'm 31. When I was in school, they told me if I would go to college, I could get a good job. And that's how it was supposed to be. How do I tell my kids if they go to college, they can get a good job when all they get is a bunch of fucking debt?
You can't. Sorry, exactly. How old did you say you were?
I'm 31.
You're 31. I'm 38. So I'm a little. Okay. So like, we were like the first, like the millennials or whatever, right? Like we were like that first generation to like find out that
all bullshit.
Yeah, that entire dream is just complete bullshit, right? Like, I mean, to put that in example, I have a master's degree. And I don't even work in that field. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't, whatever. I can't tell you that they're promised something, right? But like back when that dream was sold, you could not have a college degree, work a 9-to-5 job at like a factory and buy a house and support a family of 4. You know what I'm saying?
Those days are gone.
Yeah, those days are gone, and the days are gone when a degree just guarantees you X, Y, and Z. And like someone just said in my chat, and college was much cheaper back then too. You didn't have to go into crippling debt in order to go to college, right? You could pay off your college.
That's just another aspect of the scam.
Yeah. And so like I can't guarantee that. I tell you, I have a daughter, she's getting ready to go into high school, right? And, I do encourage her to go to college. You know what I'm saying? But I can't promise her that, that college is going to be, the end all be all. She's still going to have to make sure she chooses the right career field and something that's relevant, and then make sure she can get a job in there. And then even then,
and not get a degree in underwater basket weaving.
You know what? I'm still waiting to get my certificate for that because I got told I should never get that a long time ago. No. But yeah, no, it is important to get the correct degrees. And then when you get those correct degrees, you still have to get lucky, right?
Right.
You can do everything right, and you still have to get lucky. And that's the unfortunate thing, right? But I just have to trust that that my daughter is smart and motivated, and she's going to be successful in what she decides to go into, and maybe she gets a degree and goes into something else, and that's fine. I think we can just, trust. Obviously, our parents didn't do great telling us what the college life and everything was going to be, and we survived it. So I'm sure our kids will too, right?
I appreciate that. You have a good night, Paulie.
Hey, you too, brother. See, I went automatically to go click over there, and I didn't get it. Phil, thank you so much for the Venmo. Phil said the $750 is the max allowed by Congress for immediate response. Republicans shot down the increase of that initial amount ceiling. Yes, they did. I don't even remember what it was supposed to go to, Phil. But yeah. Dave Shockwave said both Biden and Harris did nothing to help North Carolina after the storm. Biden and Harris deployed the National Guard. They deployed active duty military. They gave it an emergency situation. They activated FEMA. I don't know what else you want. They did everything that their power allowed them to do. Is that 100% right? Is it everything that should have been done? No, but it's everything that their power allowed them to do. They can't appropriate money, right? They can't change, like Phil said. Like the amount of money for that initial payment for disaster relief was supposed to go up. Republicans stopped it, right? I just don't like. We do have checks and balances in this country, right? We do have checks and balances in this country. The president is not the end all be all. Like there's when it comes to money, the you know, it was specifically written that the president can't just, you know, just do stuff. Like everything that North Carolina asked for that they could give, they gave. So I feel very sorry for the people of North Carolina. Like during that, my girlfriend was living in North Carolina, right? Like very rough. And I was in Florida where Milton hit, and she was in North Carolina where Helene hit, right? There was a lot of people that were really hurt by that, but there was a lot of like our federal government activated to the full extent that our federal government could activate from the legislative branch. So I know that's not what like everybody wants to hear, but I mean it is truth. And Ronald, thank you so much for the 2 jewels. I appreciate that. But hey, you know They did everything that they could. Okay. We have rules in this country on how things work, and they did everything that they could. So I can't ask for more than your abilities. And then see, now you piss off my girlfriend. Now she's in the chat. Now you went and done pissed her off. Now I'm gonna get off live soon. Now I have to deal with it. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Dave. Speaking of that, I have been on for 2 hours and 40 minutes. So I am going to get offline and go walk my dog and get something to eat. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I will be on again early tomorrow because I do have to play dad tomorrow night. So I will be back on early tomorrow. I'll see you guys then, probably around like 3:30, 4 o'clock Central, something like that. I'll be on. So a little early, and I'll run till about 5:30 Central. So I'll see you guys on for a short one tomorrow. Ooh, excuse me. Love you guys. Hope you have a wonderful night. If I won't be on later, but Ari will be on live later, so go check her out once I'm off tomorrow. And you guys can go hang out over there, all right? Love you guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you're new here. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, all right? Bye.